What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Views from the High Ground. We're talking about the season finale or series finale today, episode 6, part 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Today, in here, we're still without air conditioning, so week 2 from the living room. Also, it's just me from Star Wars Explained today. Molly is prepping for a colonoscopy tomorrow morning, so she just isn't in the mood to sit and talk in front of a computer and drink this foul liquid for hours on end. So I have two guests with me today from ForceCenter podcast. I knew the second Obi-Wan Kenobi dropped and I was starting to line out guests for our after show. I was like, and ForceCenter is going right here for the series finale because I just love talking to them. And Joseph Scrimshaw adores Obi-Wan Kenobi. So please welcome back to the show, Ken Knapsack and Joseph Scrimshaw from ForceCenter podcast. How are you both?
Hello there.
Doing great. I'm drawing because you gave us an art assignment, and I'm working on a masterpiece right now.
Oh, good. Okay, we'll give you some time. And you've already talked, you said, for what, 2.5 hours about this episode today?
2 hours, 45 minutes,
Yeah, just finished recording just a bit ago, and now I have a nice drink to celebrate that the Jedi Archives apparently bans alcohol. So if you use it as a backdrop, you can't see my summer shandy.
Well, you can see my cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
Yeah, after a full day of talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi with each other or to my computer screen, we're going to do it some more.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to all of your podcast episodes, so I know how you're both feeling about the show. But just in case anyone else doesn't, how have you both enjoyed Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Ken, do you want to keep drawing, or do you want to jump on it?
No, I'll tee up here. Absolutely love it. It's been my favorite experience so far of all the Disney Plus era shows, and I love the other ones indeed, especially Bad Batch. But this one has this. We said it on the show today, and we might say that a lot today. Apologize, but of all the shows, we've been discussing this one for years, right? Like since the movie was in place and that fell apart. So predictions, thoughts, expectations. This is one of the only shows that's almost nailed almost everything I wanted. And it's not always about what I want, clearly, but like it hit all the beats for me, and yet was also surprising and satisfying in some way. So I've just enjoyed it from start to finish.
Yeah, me too. I think I had a lot of hopes and expectations, and I even had to kind of like dial down and go like, okay. Remember to take a step back and just engage with the story that you're presented with. And there were some surprises and some great expectations fulfilled. In particular, without knowing the Leia piece of it, it really sets it to this next level where for me, it feels like episode 3.5 of the Skywalker saga. It feels vital, but then at the same time, it feels like it is doing something entirely fresh and new because noble, steadfast Kenobi has been standing there next to Skywalker's going, I'll just kind of keep my stuff together while you all go through your stuff, and I'll kind of be here for you, and sometimes I'll be upset by you. But this, while also being vital to Leia and vital to Vader and introducing Reva, a fresh new character, this is taking Kenobi himself on a journey, on a complete character arc, and one for me that is incredibly moving. Especially right now, there's so much in this show that has like the absolute space fantasy fun, the adventure thrill. That was one of my favorite lightsaber fights ever now. So it's got all this space fantasy stuff that I love, but at the heart of it, to me, this show was right now a person who has gone through absolute trauma and is stuck in the trauma and is just sort of wading through the unpleasant present and not even allowing themselves to have hope for the future. And this whole journey is him waking back up to, as dark as things are, there are still people out there helping each other. The light never goes away. We get to choose whether the light goes away, and I'm going to find my hope again. And with that, I'm going to find connection. I'm going to find my fun, snarky, grumpy wit, which even starts to reconnect with in this episode. So to me, pretty vital story to hear right now, how to have hope in dark times.
I was listening earlier today to your latest news episode where you haven't seen this episode yet when you were recording it, and you were kind of joking about whether or not Kenobi would reach his 100% hope fulfillment by the end, or would he just get to 90% and then a potential like spinoff series or whatever? So, do you think he reached 100% hope by the end of this episode?
Yeah, I think for the rest of the galaxy, yes. 100% hope. I think for himself, I'm going to go for himself internally. I'm going to go like 87%. What I like about this is this was definitely the whole show, and particularly this last episode was definitely about Kenobi focusing on the future and being there for the next generation and guarding Luke and Leia and giving them what they need. And I think he's feeling really good about that. Like the future is going to take care of itself. But then this episode was also this great thread where it kind of felt like in the beginning, he was willing to just sacrifice himself to Vader. It was a tactic, like Roken even saying, you don't have to do this. And I think in his forgiveness, he decides that he truly wants to live. He wants to be part of the future. So I think that's like a big level up for Kenobi. But I love that it ends on, but I still got some stuff to learn and reconnect with, and my old master and this Eope are going to take me into the future. I still got some stuff to do. We still have a long ways to go, I love that it ends at that point where he's had an absolute victory, but part of that victory is he's just on a new path.
Yeah, I love that little moment with Leia where they're kind of talking about, it's almost like Dread Pirate Roberts. What do you do now after you get the end of that journey and you get to choose it going forward. And I like where he kind of was asking Leia about that. Like, I don't know, what do you think I should do? We know the big picture with Luke. We know the big state of the galaxy stuff coming. But yeah, that shot of the journey. We call it, what do we call it today, Joseph? The change, choice, and the continuation of the journey you've already begun. And I'm excited. So that's why, 87, 90%, like hope's good. Hope overall's good. I've got to find a little bit more for myself going forward.
Was there anything in the show that you were hoping to get that you didn't? Because I was definitely like, they really waited to the wire to pull Qui-Gon in. And that was something that I was really hoping that they would do. I think they did it perfectly. I really love how they used Qui-Gon. But I know we've all talked before about, that line from Return of the Jedi, that Obi-Wan once thought as you do, that there was still good in him. Do you think that they addressed that? Did they address it enough?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think this was one of my big, not even expectations, a hope, a thought. And I think it could be a compelling story to have Obi-Wan say, I feel bad that I did not end Vader or save Anakin. Padme said there's good in him. I'm really going to see. So I had a lot of thoughts that it might go in that direction. And then I think as the show continued, it felt like, no, the story is much more that Obi-Wan is so damaged and so guilty about what he believes is killing Anakin. That's what he needs to reckon with, is killing Anakin. And I felt like when it got to this moment, I really felt the Obi-Wan once thought as you do line was really justified in terms of the question of, is Anakin there? This idea of who is Anakin? Anakin is the good man that was Obi-Wan's brother, the good man that was Luke and Leia's father. And I felt like they really hinged that line on Obi-Wan, stopping from the combat and just kind of breaking down into pure emotional connection and getting what he needed by apologizing to Anakin and making it all about this question of, is Anakin still in there at all? And I feel like by apologizing to him, he kind of asks, Anakin, are you in there at all? And Vader's like, no, I killed him. And then we even get that line that rhymes with the hallway scene in Return of the Jedi of saying, then my friend is truly dead, the same way Luke says, then my father is truly dead. So there is this direct connection that, yes, Obi-Wan did not say, I know there's still good in you. Will you please come back? But I think he started to broach this topic of, you're Anakin, right? This Vader thing is just a lie. And if Anakin had given him any opening, maybe Obi-Wan would have been, hey, since you cracked the door open just a little bit, let me try to get to you. But he slammed the door right away. And so for me, it all still, it connects, and it even though it wasn't as big of a part of the show as I imagined, it fulfilled what I wanted it to.
Yeah, with him there on that, it wasn't just it didn't like directly pull it out. We had joked a few times, like maybe he pulls up a chair and a tea, like it's with General Loathsome, and he says Padme said this about you and everything, and they wasn't going to have a my dinner with Vader vibe. It was always going to be this. So I think it answers it. I think it's emotional canon, our one of our favorite phrases around there, where I think people get hung up on actual lore as it's listed in Wikipedia or something like that. And this is the emotional canon behind it. I think Joseph had a great point, both off air and on air. Actually, today I'll want to point out of just like, Obi-Wan's here with this very raw emotional moment. It's an apology, it's tears, it's real, and he gets nothing back. And so that all kind of ties to that moment. But it was always about so much more. Yeah, the guilt, the false hope Obi-Wan might have had. I didn't kill him. Maybe I could do something. I think it all comes down to that little moment there where Vader again doesn't change. The one of the big points of Star Wars is about growth, right? This whole series is about the choice to go forward, and Anakin is in a repeating cycle. He is not changed. He has locked himself in this prison, and even though there's this ongoing battle, he has sold the idea that feelings, weakness, that's how you lose. That's not strength. Palpatine in the holocall here, even it reiterates all that stuff. Like, are you having feelings? Because if you do, that makes you weak, right? You know that, right? You're in service to me. Kill that past. And so therefore, Vader remains. And I think that does tie to that scene in Return of the Jedi a lot.
Yeah, talking about it more and, seeing people's thoughts in the comments as well. Yeah, one of the things that I was really hopeful for in this show is seeing the conviction that Obi-Wan has that Anakin is gone, and that from that certain point of view isn't some, a tricksy thing that'll always be debated, but that is his true point of view. And I feel like it really landed that. And actually having Obi-Wan not explicitly say, come on, buddy, come on back to the good side. And having all those years later, Vader know that's what he opened the door to. And without explicitly saying it, that Vader knows just by him saying, Anakin, I'm sorry, that Obi-Wan was opening the door to that, and Vader shut the door. That's some introspection on Vader's part years later to know that that's what Obi-Wan was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was kind of wondering if they went far enough with any kind of reaching out to Anakin. I was like, I think that is enough, but you reframing it around Anakin, because that is what Luke and Vader are talking about in Return of the Jedi. So yeah, I think this is, I honestly have throughout the whole season, I feel like I've needed to watch every episode twice to let it soak in. And I don't know, I feel like I've struggled with this one more than some of the other ones, but I was like, ForceCenter's coming on, and they're gonna talk me through it.
What are some of the beats that might be hitting you wrong or hitting you different in this go around?
Actually, it's none of the story beats. It's none of the characters. Like, everything on the page, I really, really like. Something about the execution and the volume and just some of the stuff. It hasn't felt as polished, I guess, as I'm used to with Star Wars, which I know George Lucas was always worried about that when he was getting ready to do potentially Star Wars Underworld. He's like, the technology just isn't there yet for a TV budget. And I think that I was just noticing it a lot more with this series than I have for The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett.
Look, that's where I've been a lot. I always joke I have this really complicated, troublesome relationship with the volume, because I believe in it as technology. I believe it as almost kind of a Star Wars tradition, because it is about taking the ability to make things and simply lower the cost and make it easier for other people to tell stories. That drove George Ford a lot. Digital filmmaking, all that stuff. He wants other people of different places and perspectives in life to tell their stories. It's big with him. So that's a Star Wars tradition. I think it was driven a lot by, budget. We don't have Game of Thrones money. We definitely don't have Bezos throwing it at his favorite book series money. Like, we don't have that. It is a smaller budget than I think people would probably realize. And a lot of it clearly goes to craft services and Ewan, as it should. So I struggled at times too. in this series even more than others. But there also are great moments. This last episode was a great celebration of what they can do, because there's clearly dedicated, talented, passionate people working hours upon hours upon hours. And our friend Adam Witt of the Movie Guys always says, hey, just because you know it's a special effect doesn't mean it's a bad one. It just means you're aware of the process. And we're so familiar with the process now. We hear about it even before the show comes out, even before Mandalorian comes out, that, yeah, you notice those things. You know, the T-47s looked, okay to me. You just got to push past it if you want. If you don't want it, you don't want to.
Yeah, I understand too. I think for me, there's this weird tension between, like, this is kind of, for me as a fan and my journey as a fan, the biggest Star Wars can get when you have Obi-Wan and Vader fighting to protect Leia Organa. It feels so huge. So then to feel some of those moments where, like, yeah, no, it's probably a little bit smaller because it's shot on the volume. But I just always, for myself, like, one of the ways I thought about it is, the shot of the executor, however you choose to say it, crashing in Return of the Jedi. That hasn't looked good to me since 1983. Personally, it's an effect, and I just want to be able to let every once in a while, something doesn't land for me visually. And I don't like being hung up in that, because then I feel like I miss the storytelling that I celebrate. I totally understand struggling with it. I did love in this episode, I loved the shots of the planet that Obi-Wan and Vader are on. In particular, the shots of them before they even started fighting and the facing off. And it looked like Ralph McQuarrie just painted that 2 days ago. Like, for me, that there's something about it that made it really exciting, because it looked pulp. It looked total space fantasy. It looked like the cover of a dusty old book you'd find in a used bookstore from the 70s, which, like, to me, sometimes a little bit of it's not the most photorealistic ever. Sometimes it's a positive thing. And for me, like, that one was an example of that, of, like, it looked like it leapt out of the imagination of a pulp writer. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, look, but I get it. I said, I going into Mando season 1, I was very aware that it was Brendan Wayne in there, and did not know at the time Lateef Crowder's name hadn't emerged. But, people knew that. One of my friends made the blaster. He's like, it's John Wayne's grandson. And I every week was like, it's not Pedro. And I'm so upset at that. And it cost me some joy. But all that to say, I understand what you're saying, Alex. The volume, I think there's still, it's infinitely better than it was in season 1 of Mando. It's only going to get better. The use of it in the Batman was great. I'm here for the tech. I can't wait to see the BTS stuff, to see how it came out. But sometimes I go, yep, that's members of the 501st charity group standing on a soundstage, and that's what we got. And I think especially if you grew up with Star Wars on screen, it's kind of, your seat's rumbling. My couch doesn't rumble quite yet. So I feel it in that kind of way. And it's still an adjustment process to TV for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, and Joseph, like you say about going back to Return of the Jedi, really going back to any Star Wars movie, like, it's always, every single time, it's goofier than I recall it being. Even if I just watched it like a month ago, I'm like, God, that's so goofy. And I think everyone, I think, looks at Star Wars kind of in just from the story perspective, which is why I'm, like, overall really into this series, because I loved the story they told. I thought they told it very well. It's just I was having those moments where I would get taken out of it, and I didn't feel, like, fully invested. I mean, but, like, looking back on it, I'm not gonna.
No. Look, Han Solo and Lando Calrissian stand in front of a painting of the Millennium Falcon in Return of the Jedi. Clearly, a 7-year-old, I was like, "Oh, that's a matte painting." And again, you recognize it, you see it. We have high expectations. Me being a giant Game of Thrones fan, I'd love to, have it feel a certain way. But even then, the Watchers on the Wall episode, one of my favorite from season 4, Big Battle, it's almost entirely made of blue screen graphics. So, it's what your eye tells yourself or what you believe. I think it seems to me, it's also, we're so aware of it. That's why that conversation around reshoots with Rogue One and Solo drives me crazy, because it drives a false narrative forward that people who are just casual fans, I heard they reshot something, and you don't even know what that means really, and it just kind of drives the conversation forward. So I personally am so aware of the volume that I hyper focus on it. That's just me. That's my journey.
Yeah. I see in the comments, somebody just said something that resonates with me meanwhile, us Doctor Who fans can enjoy Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I think, I think your focus determines your reality. Our life experiences matter. And like, yeah, as a fan of Doctor Who and like even some earlier superhero stuff that was like, hey, some of this is awesome. Others, woo, boy. I think I've grown up where I really want to be able to see the vision that the artists are striving toward. And if it falls a few times, it's on me to choose how I want to react to it.
Yep, I agree.
Well, that's really the only kind of criticism I had of the show. So let's throw that away. I want to get to your drawings. Did you do a drawing? Did you finish it? I want to talk about the stuff that we really liked about the episode.
Yeah, my dad is actually like a 2D animator. He's very skilled. I picked up none of that. I got other skills barely. So one of my favorite things in this episode is shotgun blasters and Beru Lars defending. So that is Beru with her shotgun blaster defending the homestead and Luke. It's such an act. They're going to make Black Series figures based off this drawing. They're going to scan them in and make them.
Shotgun blasters and blue milk. That's what Ken and I want for Beru's accessories.
I don't know why, but when she pulled out that like sawed off blaster and tossed it to Owen, I was like, ooh,
it's the best.
Nice little short blaster.
Yeah, because I just seen the bottom of it. I thought for a minute as a cycler rifle, like kind of standard, Tuscan thing that we see, and nope, Beru's back in a different punch.
and Joseph and I both have the belief that Owen wasn't too aware of that he was like, what? And she's just been like, no, we're ready to go. Because they represent Owen's kind of a fearful look at an important situation, and she's kind of the hopeful look at it, right? And that's kind of how we met them in A New Hope, and that's kind of how we experienced them here now, just to a wonderful action movie level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that he was like, no, we gotta run, we gotta hide, and she's like, let's just deal with reality. I've had these shotguns here for 10 years.
She's punching holes in walls, pulling rifles out from every which way. I'm so glad they gave her some significant stuff to do in this episode, because I was a little bummed she wasn't in episode 1, except for that far off shot. But getting to see her really be like, nope, we're staying here. We're not putting anyone else in danger. We can do this. Just justice for Beru. She didn't get to do enough in A New Hope. And just reading about her and like most recently Queen's Hope and everything that she's involved in, ending the slave trade on Tatooine. This all just tracked for me and felt really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this was the Beru from Queen's Hope, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And we were saying on the show too, some of you might not be familiar with the kind of weird and bizarre and at times tragic journey of Bonnie P.S. after this. So to her to get back to this role and enjoy it and be on screen, even for the small amount of time that it was in the series, it was just a fun thing as a fan of her and Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Joseph, what did you draw?
Well, I wanted to do 2 drawings. I did one, and then I wanted to draw the moment where Owen tries to kick a potted plant at an Inquisitor, which I thought was one of the boldest moves in all of Star Wars. I liked it, but I had to draw my favorite visual moment. Let's see. Let me see. Why don't you show your drawing while I try to turn off my background?
Okay, actually, because now that I've seen yours, I want to go first. I saw a hint of yours, and let me pull up the...
Yeah,
let's get mine out of the way.
That's perfect.
We drew the same scene, but yeah, I think yours was looking a little better. So we'll pull yours up now. We can compare.
Different.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Look at the shading on those rocks.
Oh, it's great shading. Great shading.
I like the subtitles there too.
Yeah, that's what they actually are. If you pause it just right where I did. Yeah. I really love that moment.
Love that.
That just felt like I think I heard you talk about this on your episodes as well, that like a hero will rise moment. And we didn't get it in episode 3. Like he pulled the saber, he ignited it out of fear. And it wasn't kind of like that big epic moment we maybe thought it was going to be. And then this was that moment where he climbs out of the pit and he is just a Jedi Master in full force, rocks and everything. It just seemed like something we hadn't seen in live action before in that way.
Yeah. Go for it, Ken. Sorry.
Well, no, yeah, there's so much things to that. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of conditions of victory has been one of the big things we've been discussing on ForceCenter and what you think it is, and the lesson of Darth Vader constantly, no matter how powerful he's the baddest dude in the planet, and no matter what hallway he stomps down and slices people into, no matter what icy cave he stomps with an E-web blaster and his troops at his side, no matter what he does, pulls ships out of the sky, he never gets what he wants. He never gets what he wants. All the power means nothing. And so for him to bury you and Obi-Wan, same thing, same difference, to bury Obi-Wan on those rocks and use all that power, and he doesn't get what he wants. He never gets what he wants. And so in that moment for Obi-Wan to relive the horrors, the pain, the failures, and then focus on the future and crawl out of that for the future, for his future, the galaxy future and the twins future. It's just powerful use of all that and leading to that rock. But even then, I think, and Joseph could step in here, I think the rock moment it's a great, something we've never seen. I love his smile, but it also represents to me like him. He uses all his own power. He can go beat for beat, but at the end of the day, he too puts down his blade because his conditions of victory are much different than Vader's.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really loved the fight for a ton of different reasons. Both like the adventure thrill, that's a cool lightsaber fight. I'm a little old to be playing on the playground, but I want to go try to do some of those things on the playground. Kind of like love the action and great, lots of great twirling. I loved how much Obi-Wan was using his slightly faster speed, his mobility against Vader's big, powerful hacks. So much great stuff about it. But it was a great mirror with that first time he ignites his blade, that it is just out of utter fear of where is Vader? What's going on? What am I doing? In that this time is I am making this choice. I am doing my old pose. I am totally back on my game. And then to go through this great journey within the fight where he's literally buried by Vader, right? He's hearing Anakin and Vader hate on him. He could let himself be buried by the past and let it go. And on a tactical level, he would have accomplished his goal. They got all the people from the past got away. Thinks of the future, thinks of Luke and Leia, and literally bursts out into the light. And then he's still on just like, this is a battle. This is power. Vader and Anakin, since he was a youngin', is just about power. I'm more powerful. And I felt like that rock moment was Kenobi just being like, I'm not afraid of you anymore. Other people see the armor and it's terrifying and see your power, but I've known you since you were a boy and I can match you. I can actually match you. Let's go. And then if you want to make it about power, Vader, we'll just match it. Hilt to the chest unit. Super cool, crafty Obi-Wan move.
Yeah.
But then it gets down to, okay, now that I've established, if you just want to make it about power, I could maybe beat you. We could maybe fight endlessly, go round after round. But why I really wanted to face you is to face my own guilt, to face the possibility that Anakin is still in there, and you're owning your choice. And if you're going to own your choice, then I got what I needed. I faced you, and I can forgive myself. And I love that the fight goes everywhere from the super big, all right, kid, you've been claiming you're more powerful than me for decades. Let's find out. To, okay, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be all about power and endless battle.
I really loved the moment in the pit where you mentioned he's like being ragged on by Anakin from the past, but he thinks about the connections that he's made over the past couple days with Leia, and he thinks about Luke, and it's those connections with people that's what gives him his strength. I loved that where they're fighting and Vader's like, oh, your strength is back. And I kind of talked about these episodes feeling like a Rocky movie for a little while, but I'm so glad there wasn't any like force training montage. He didn't need one. Like all it was him going back, helping people, reconnecting, and not like sitting alone in a cave. That's all it was. He found his balance that way.
Clear out the chi, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the big things this show keeps going back. This is the great stuff from Tala of some things can't be forgotten, and that can be certainly a burden. But that's why I think that rock moment is literally, him buried by his past. It's how it works. It's not unlike, to me, Cersei being buried by the rubble of the very thing she thought would heal her. It's that kind of powerful imagery for me. And so it's just so clear. It's Joseph and I always joke. It's sometimes that Leo DiCaprio meme from the Tarantino film of they did that. That's the theme. Look at that's the theme. And I think absolutely that's all at play there. And that's what those fights are about.
I had a friend actually text me today that he was doing that meme like the whole episode. Big prequel kid, and just like he did the point. He said hello there, like I will do what I must. He was just doing that for a full 50 minutes.
Yeah. No, there was a ton of that stuff, but for me, it really works. It all felt purposeful. Like sometimes I can get taken out by like, is there too much Star Wars poetry? But for me, there was a lot in this episode. But for me, when I kind of broke it down beat by beat, it all really had purpose and had power to me.
Yeah.
How do you feel about I'll throw it to you first because you talked about the conditions of victory. So how do you feel about the fact that Obi-Wan just walked away from Vader? Like, does that put any responsibility on him for everything else?
No. We talked about it. We don't like the how question at ForceCenter. How something happened is a boring question in Star Wars. It's why, right? It's the why of it and why of it, and it's not unlike the lessons from Luke Skywalker and Ben Solo, Luke Skywalker and Kylo. We talk often in Force, and we talked about it today, obviously, of Luke knowing I can't turn him or change him. That's not me. That's someone else's journey, which ends up being Han and Leia to a degree, Rey involved. Obviously, we know that. Or not unlike, Luke over Ben and having that shadow of doubt pass through him and over him. Hopefully, we think it's that, because also just on a nuts and bolts answer, we cannot forget that Vader is powerful. Vader is cool. He's one of the biggest villains in pop culture history. He is also the weird dude in the corner. Conan Antonio Moti does not respect his power. The Grand Inquisitor in this episode is like, dude, my boss is a nutter. He is removed off the board. Kenobi puts a lightsaber through his eye. What does that truly accomplish for the Empire against the eventual rebellion? Not much. Palpatine's going to pick another one. It's not the complete victory. Not that Kenobi was thinking about that in that moment. He is about, I am not going to take this life. I cannot change this guy. His redemption path does not run through me anymore. It's going to run through others, the new hopes in the future. That's why he's looking towards the future. Does it all run through his head in that moment? No. I think there's more the personal stuff that Joseph is talking about, the victory of releasing the guilt. Self-forgiveness is big in this episode, all that kind of stuff. I know people want to get hung up on that, just like they want to get hung up on the shores of Mustafar. He thought he left him to die. He couldn't bring him to cut his friend's head up. I don't blame him, right? Like that's just one of those things to me that it's just like, just think, if you want to think about nuts and bolts, he dies. Imperial officers are like, great, that weird dude in the corner's gone. We don't have to deal with him at meetings anymore. Let's go ahead with what we got. He's obsessed with Kenobi and ghosts from the past. We don't need him anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo a lot of that. I also think for me, like as a long-term Kenobi fan, one of the things that is fun about Kenobi is people debate his motivations and his choices, and I think they always will. And I think this is, I think it's great that we can all chat and share opinions, but sometimes that very quickly turns into team A or B. Did Kenobi do the right thing or did he do the wrong thing? And I think what's more interesting, what fascinates me about Kenobi is he's a complex character, and there is room to debate and discuss and hold up the mirror to yourself. So I welcome that is going to be a continuing conversation. I think for myself, what this series did is frame Obi-Wan's guilt in, yep, I failed him as a master, that he ended up falling to the dark side anyway. I saw all these hints and I didn't do it, and I wasn't this father figure that I needed. But he spent 10 years thinking, I killed him. I told Yoda I didn't want to kill that boy that was mine to protect. And I sliced him and left him burning on the shores of hell. And that, in this story, is what is devouring Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he comes to this place where he kind of he apologizes for it. And Vader turns around and just says, you didn't do anything. I killed Anakin. He's dead. You're not getting through to me. And then his choice at that point is kill him and he'll be replaced by any of these Inquisitors. And I don't want to make this choice again. Like he says in the sparring duel with Anakin, Jedi are about protecting life, not taking it. And obviously he believes that Vader should be taken down. He believes the Death Star should be destroyed. He's not just like, don't ever take a life. I think this is a personal choice of like, in this moment, what is bringing me back to light in life and hope is I don't want to take the life of this person that I was sworn to protect. Maybe someday somebody else will get through to him. Maybe someday somebody else will end him. I don't want to do this. And for me, that's really resonant with Luke in The Last Jedi of saying, I'm here to confront Kylo and I can't save him. All Luke is doing in that moment is confronting that he failed Kylo, giving the room for others to escape. And I think Luke has the wisdom to know I'm the one who failed Kylo, particularly in his mind. I'm never going to get through to him. And I see some real Star Wars poetry of Anakin being, or Obi-Wan being, I'm not going to be the one to get through to him if it can even be done. For right now, this moment, I'm making this choice for myself. It will destroy me to kill him.
And this episode goes a long way to talk about this idea of mercy being something of great value that the dark side views as weakness. That's that moment where Vader's like, yeah, oh, look at that. You're strong, but you're still weak because you have some sort of hesitation, mercy, and love for me and others inside of you, which is this lie. Because even what Joseph just kind of said, when Anakin has that moment, that beautiful, haunting horror show of a moment where he's looking at him and he's like, you didn't do this. This is your fail. I killed Anakin. And it's like some sort of sense of false victory because this is the lie he's been telling himself here and is now kind of confirming in his own brain in a way, I guess you could even say. But it comes with that Palpatine conference call at the end. That's the stuff Palpatine's doing. Like, you have any feelings? Do you have any feelings? Good, because that would make you weak. Do you have any kind of connection to your past? You don't? Okay, good, because that would make you weak. And so I think that all, to me, flows down to this idea of Kenobi in that moment is putting some sort of mercy out there. Now, again, there's a lot of death and destruction at Vader's hands still coming. This is why Joseph's right. We're always going to look at Kenobi's motivations. And if Duchess Satine was around, maybe she'd have some other thoughts on it there. Or I think she might agree with Kenobi in this moment. And plus, if he kills him now, who knows who takes down Palpatine at the end of this particular chapter?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's sometimes people will get into that and I'm like, this isn't real, right? Like Vader didn't really do any of that stuff. Like I love the way you said it's not about the how, it's about the why.
It's about the why.
Yeah, Star Wars is mythology and it's meant to explain, our world and our feelings and who we are and not tell an actual history, even though I love that side of it. And trying to make it all work.
I watch your canon video every year, man. All 9 hours of it. I watch it all. I love that stuff. I love the nuts and bolts questions. Let me be clear about that. I love that. I love analyzing how the Empire won this battle or how the Rebels won the other. That's so much fun to me. I just think, you forget, like it comes around with like the Vader, even the Vader redemption story, Return of the Jedi. It's like, well, yeah, he did all these things. Well, yeah, he did. That's not the point of the story. It is a fairy tale, and you're supposed to learn that lesson from Vader in his final moments. And this episode sets some of that stuff up beautifully too, with the mask and everything.
Yeah, and like I said, I think there's plenty of debate. I think sometimes there are messages that are like, here is the idea, and I think it's fine to take them as viewers and say, hey, this idea resonates with me, or this idea forces me to question, do I agree with what this character did? Yeah. And for me, what's powerful is that I think this is Obi-Wan's story, and this isn't a story about what is Obi-Wan's all the time morality, what is Obi-Wan's all the time, what's the grand galaxy view of what should or should not happen to Darksiders. It was in this moment, for me to have hope, for me to choose the future, I need to break the cycle of violence. I don't want to just repeat what I did at Mustafar and leave him for dead. I think it's really powerful. One of my favorite shots that's subtle in that battle is, Obi-Wan is so, so apologizing, and the blue is on his face. And once Vader kind of makes that statement of like, yeah, no, I'm Vader, and all I want to do is keep fighting, right? It's not like Vader is on his knees. He's beaten, but he's not down. He wants to keep fighting, and that's part of what Obi-Wan is saying no to. Like, yeah, no, not more circular fighting. I'm breaking the cycle of violence. And the blue goes away from Obi-Wan's face. You don't even see the blade, but you see the blade come down, and then on Anakin's side, Vader's side, you see the red blade come up just by the reflection. And like it's just like that visual metaphor of like Obi-Wan in this moment saying, not going to just keep fighting, not going to do the cycle of violence this time for me. And Vader like bringing the blade up and like, no, cycle of violence, let's keep it going. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, and that ties into the Reva stuff too, and the big thing of breaking the cycles, choosing to go forward. And none of this is designed to be easy. Star Wars is not saying none of this stuff is easy. It's just kind of putting the stuff up there for you to ruminate on. And yeah, again, she thought she was weak, but Kenobi brings in the idea of no, you showed mercy, which is a more powerful thing and definitely a strength.
Yeah, I really think that when Obi-Wan has that little conversation with Reva about showing mercy, and by doing that honored the fallen who have been victims of the cycle of violence, he's saying to Reva what she sincerely did, but I think he's also talking to himself and kind of making clear his choice. And again, I think it's great if fans debate it or disagree with it, but I think he's kind of making clear why he made that choice in what he says to Reva.
Yeah, totally agree. I wanted to get into some smaller moments because I now I can't remember who said it. We've been talking for so long, but you mentioned the Grand Inquisitor and his just being fed up with Vader, and that like little thing where he's even out of focus, but you can just see his jaw set. That was maybe my favorite, just small moment of the episode. Did either of you have something small like that you really dug? And Joseph, that may be the two lights that you just talked about, because I noticed that, but I didn't think of it in the sense that, oh yeah, Obi-Wan is putting his saber down and Vader is picking his back up.
Yeah, no, there's definitely that. I love that Grand Inquisitor moment. In some ways, I was like kind of Grand Inquisitor Rupert Friend at his most pulpy, just in the way he delivered his dialogue, and clearly he's right. One of my favorite moments is Vader saying he isn't just any Jedi, like. And like if the Inquisitors, if the staff on the ship could take a vote, they'd be like, Vader, you're messing this up. So I really love that.
Yeah. There's a lot of little moments here. There's a couple great ones with Leia, and it's always weird. I kind of want to quote Joseph in front of him only to prompt him to talk about it. But the long play connection to Leia, the character who is getting this powerful and emotional. I think it moved a lot of us, the description of her parents by Obi-Wan, and then he wishes he could tell her more, and she looks over to Brea and Bail and says, I'm good, and Joseph said these words, so I'm going to quote you, sir, and then you can go from there. Of just like, that's Leia starting the first time she really kind of has this idea of, I have everything I need, and how that then drives the character forward all the way literally to the end of their life. As a Leia fan like I am, and so many are, I just love all the little Leia moments, but that might have been one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, absolutely great. There's a ton of great lines. I really liked, which, there's so many big moments, and this was kind of a small moment, but a really fun and different one. When Owen and Beru are getting ready, and Owen grumpily says, well, we're in trouble and Ben is gone. And Bruce says, whose fault is that? That is a sassy household. I mean,
that was the verbal version of this.
That was a sawed off comment for sure. So I really like that. Yeah, there's so much stuff. It's a big moment. But when Obi-Wan is kind of giving that gift to Leia by telling her about both of her parents, and I think it's a gift to fans who like this kind of stuff of like seeing both Anakin and Padme honored that way. It also felt to me like he's really letting Anakin go. It really lines up with him telling Luke his belief that Anakin is gone. It felt also like him eulogizing his friend, right? Of letting himself move on from the conflict, and he's like, I'm going to remember that good man whose qualities have been passed on to his daughter. That really got me.
Yeah, love that.
Talking about the lines about all of the parental figures, I did really love seeing Joel Edgerton in this episode, and I've always been a fan of the comics and the books that have done a great job of expressing how much Owen really does love Luke, And he's really gruff in A New Hope, but that was like for story purposes, and getting to actually see him as a loving father figure was so great. And when Riva says that line of like, look at you really do love him, protecting him as if he's your own, and he goes, he is my own. I loved that.
Yeah, that's super powerful. He is my own.
Yeah. Yeah. We're more well, Joseph too, but more than me of this idea of justice for Owen, justice for him. He represents a fearful look at things, but he has good reason to be fearful, and so I love getting a little bit of that here.
Yeah. Now that we've seen how they are in action, how many stormtroopers do you think they took down before they met their fate in A New Hope? Because I feel like that paints them in a new light.
I like that. I hadn't thought about that. At least 5. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, man. That's the Owen and Brew Disney Plus series. I'd be all up for that. That would be amazing. Yeah. Very sad. Very sad knowing they're fighters. Yeah. It's just so many great moments. I really liked over the course of the show as Obi-Wan came back to the light, found his footing and his Jedi philosophy, that he also did start to find like a little bit more of his sense of humor. And I really like the well, I wasn't going to give you a blaster, Leia. You're 10 years old. That was some great, just Obi-Wan vibe.
Just in general. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
I got to pop off for about 2 minutes. I got to come back. I got a Chihuahua issue going on. So drop me out. I'll be right back.
In general, to build off of what you said, Joseph, I really am so happy just to see Ben or Obi-Wan smiling in this episode so much. I remember in the first couple of episodes, it's just he barely cracked a smile at all. And for kind of episodes 3, 4, and 5, I was like, I'm liking this, but it doesn't have those same moments of like fun and comedy that a lot of Star Wars does. Like, this is a darker story, so I'm glad that it was more bookended. I feel like season 2 was pretty funny, or episode 2, and episode 6 at least was like joyful. And Obi-Wan, just those last few scenes where he's just smiling away.
Yeah, laughing at Leia's joke about you should get some. What should I do next? You should get some sleep. And you had asked early on about Qui-Gon. I was so happy with Qui-Gon. I really was interested in this idea that Qui-Gon would be not the reward, but Obi-Wan has locked himself off from the Force, and he's kind of asking for help without doing any of the work himself. And there's this great sort of a mentorship teaching thing that I think is in real life and often in Star Wars of you can only open the door for someone else. They got to walk through it. And I think Qui-Gon really had that, well, Obi-Wan, once you are willing to move toward the future, I'm right here. So I really love that vibe that it's explicit in the dialogue of I've been here the whole time, but that the Force goes to Qui-Gon is even looking toward the future, to the horizon. You're ready to go, buddy. And the whole reason it made me think of this, I love that immediately. This could have, it was a moving moment, but it could have been epic. And I love that it just started with master and apprentice giving each other little barbs of what took you so long,
Obi-Wan didn't even seem surprised. He just kind of saw him appear, and he's like, oh, Master Qui-Gon, there you are.
Yeah, I've been waiting for you. And I loved that vibe. It was a great vibe because it ended on such a happy beat, I thought.
And I'm with you when in that early scene of episode 1 where he's just kind of calling out to Qui-Gon. I was like, oh, okay. I was wondering if they were going to be talking throughout the season or what. But the idea that he was reaching out, couldn't contact his master, I was like, okay, so yeah, he has to find balance first. And so I just love that as the final scene, little reward that yes, he has achieved his goal. He's back to being who he's supposed to be. And Qui-Gon shows up because he's all balanced in the Force now. So that felt good.
Yeah, and not for nothing, some of the philosophy of Force spirits is the retaining your identity within the Force is not an ego thing. It's so you can be there for the next generation, so you can be there for people who need you. So the fact that not only does Obi-Wan kind of unlodge himself from his trauma and being stuck, and is moving toward the future, a part of that is explicitly, I want to live I want to be here for the next generation. I want to continue to be here for the next generation. So it feels like Qui-Gon's like, all right, you passed the basic entry test for me to begin to train you on how to do this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Sorry, Chihuahua incident is good. We're good. So I'm sorry I missed that, but yeah, I loved the use of how they ended up using Qui-Gon, but just Liam Neeson's futile attempts to lie about it were also entertaining, and it was just an uplifting beat to end that show.
Yeah. Well, how are you both doing on time? We'll jump into some chat questions here if you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm good for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I am gonna refresh my beer real quick, and this stream is actually sponsored, so I'm gonna play an ad for like a minute and a half, and I'm gonna go grab a new drink, and then we'll dive into questions. Be right back.
Excellent.
Today's episode is sponsored by Athletic Greens. They sent us their daily vitamin supplement, AG1. I started taking AG1 to see if it would help give me more energy, especially in the morning. I like coffee, but I know caffeine isn't the best for you, so I thought swapping it out with AG1 would be an interesting experiment. I've been taking 1 scoop mixed with 10 or 12 ounces of water first thing after I wake up. It's loaded with 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and more. I would say that it has helped me wake up and have more productive days in the month or so that I started taking it. I've also noticed that I've been falling asleep easier, which has been a struggle for me as long as I can remember. AG1 costs less than $3 a day, and your subscription also includes a year's supply of vitamin D. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Star Wars. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Star Wars to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And now, back to the show.
And we're back. And I got a fresh drink. So we're good to go. So our first one here is from J-Bell. Thanks, J-Bell. What is the significance of Vader going from I am what you made me in episode 3 to I'm not your failure, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did? Well, I think that I think that in episode 3 he was more referring to his injuries and the suit than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also what characters say aren't facts, and what a way to hurt your buddy. What a way to be like, you did this, idiot, and then to come back around and speak his dark truth in that moment. Again, I see that moment in episode 6 as Vader claiming some sort of false victory. Yeah, ain't this cool? I did this. I'm more powerful than you can possibly imagine. I did this, even though we know he's lying and we know he hurts. So I think that's where I kind of have that relationship with both of them. And from a certain point of view, hey, Obi-Wan, it's, Anakin, Vader is speaking truths in both sides, both incidents.
Yeah, for me, I think it's powerful that they are contrasting. I think Vader is a person who is particularly in this story just really needs power over Obi-Wan. I think Vader relies on the lie that I have done all this stuff. I've sacrificed all this stuff. I've killed Anakin. I've killed my feelings so that I can be the most powerful. Kind of bugs me that my master has always beaten me. So I want to beat him. I want to know I earned it. And I think that that's definitely there in the fights, but I think it's also there in the way he talks to Obi-Wan. And I think he wants to hurt him. He wants to beat him. And the most hurtful thing he can say in that moment is, I am what you made me. Poor me. It wasn't anything I did. My mean master came along and cut off my legs and my one good arm and lit me on fire. It's totally your fault. And then when it is the opposite, that Obi-Wan is apologizing and saying, you're right. I failed you. I let you fall to the dark side and I physically wounded you and left you trapped in this horrible prison. I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, you didn't. I'm taking the power back. I chose this. This was my choice. I did this. And I see some people saying in the comments that they feel that maybe that's a moment of Anakin giving Obi-Wan a little of something that he needed. I think that's a really interesting debate. I think for myself, it feels like Vader always wanting to cling to power. And I'm kind of fascinated by, he definitely gave Obi-Wan something he needed. And I'm really fascinated by the question of, did he intend to?
I don't think so. That's
Yeah.
something that I definitely think that when he said that line, like, you didn't do it, I destroyed Anakin Skywalker. Like it was him being like, look how badass I am. And Obi-Wan was like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you. Like, I don't think it was intentional.
Yeah, no, I don't think I don't think it was intentional in terms of any sort of like logical, like Anakin Vader being like, I'll give him this one. It totally comes across as, you are trying to take my power away. I don't like it. I'm reasserting my power. I made this choice. Anakin was weak. He had all these feelings, and I don't have feelings anymore. But I think that Anakin is always there in some way, and on a like subliminal level or a buried level, you know, pushing back in that way has a lot of this episode feels like, I don't care about Obi-Wan, and he's back and forth in this episode of like, let the rest of the path go. He's not just any Jedi. He's the most important Jedi ever. He's literally screaming, Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, when he leaves. He's sitting there telling Palpatine, I will burn anything to get to Kenobi. Don't worry, mean space dad Palpatine. I'm going to get Kenobi. In the second, Palpatine's like, seems like you care about him too much. He's like, no, I don't. Like, I think a lot of what Vader is doing is trying to make himself believe that he doesn't care about Obi-Wan in any way. And I think he's in this place right now where the only way he can kind of express it is fighting him, keeping him close through violence and beating him, and he can deal with him that way. But there's feelings simmering there somewhere for Obi-Wan.
It just makes me think a lot of that conversation with Tarkin that Joseph and I have been talking about on the show a lot, in New Hope, where Tarkin's like, "Are you sure he's here?" And he's like, "Yeah, oh yeah, he's here. Escape is not a plan. I gotta go beat him." And he like runs on. Like it's clearly you're lying to yourself several times over.
Yeah, and well said to pull the ForceCenter. Well said. Well said. Next up, we have Lord Hosk. Obi-Wan leaving on Mustafar made sense, conflicted over the recent betrayal. The episode 6 fight was amazing, but leaving him this time made no sense. I think we covered that already. Yeah. Thank you, Lord Hosk. And I really, I just, the why, not the how.
You gotta, I mean, no, it's my big thing, and to the point, not to this wonderful question from Lord Hosk. I get it. You should question some of these things. Look, man, I'm a Stannis Baratheon fan. Do you know how many times I've been burned by one of my favorite characters? Pun intended, I guess. Unfortunately,
oh, no.
It's supposed to. Sometimes these characters are supposed to challenge you in ways that make you think about it. That's why the why question is so important. Literally, what is this scene telling you? Why is it there? And what does it tell you about Star Wars? The larger saga is how we approach every scene, and then that maybe you could lead yourself to an answer. Seek it out, and maybe you get to the answer. Maybe Lord Hask still has that thought. That's totally fine. Just say, go on that journey. Go on the journey and ask why.
Yeah, another thing I'll say very quickly, because we did talk about it, is I also think that there's a difference between, like, for me, it makes complete emotional sense that what Obi-Wan was haunted by was killing Anakin, and he wanted to break the cycle of violence. He didn't want to just do Mustafar again. He wanted to choose for himself to show mercy. That was the choice that Obi-Wan made, and that makes a logical, emotional sense to me in a thematic sense. So you could set that on one side and go, yeah, that makes sense to me for Kenobi. Then you can also debate, do I think morally in the Star Wars galaxy that Obi-Wan was right? It made sense for his character. Do I agree with it, though? Should he have? I think that's a legitimate distinction to be made as well.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan didn't know what evils Vader was going to do in the future. But yeah, I think that the whole why of things is something I would say that both of you taught me, is that because I think I came from Star Wars more of in a how situation of like wanting to make it all make sense. But when you recognize that that's kind of secondary to what George Lucas always cared about, Star Wars starts to make so much more sense a lot easier. And it becomes not necessarily sense, but it's just like
Yeah.
I get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
becomes there's some great rewards to be found in it for your own life. This is a franchise that continues to teach me. I always go to that Carl Weathers quote in the behind the scenes stuff with Mando of just like Star Wars has always been saying the things that I needed to hear in my early 20s, but I didn't hear them till later in life. That's stuff that's affecting me still, and it's because of that kind of thing. And yeah, the other side, look, well, if Kenobi does stick that blade through his eye and kills him, does that seem right? Does that seem right for the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi that we know and love and in that moment? And is that what a true hero is? Maybe it is to you. Maybe it is. And maybe that should be to what Joseph's saying. Like, hey, then maybe you can still debate the actions that Kenobi did. That's part of the fun. That's why we're here.
Yeah. It also, I'll point out a great comment here from the chat. Rona says, Riva asked Obi if he could want to kill Anakin, which I thought was really great in the previous episode, because I think Kenobi is very conflicted about this until he makes that choice in this episode. And Kenobi is pitching it to Riva. Is like, yeah, no, I'll set him up and you chop his head off. He's got to go. And Riva has the insight in the previous episode to set up this question to be answered in the final episode of, are you sure that's what you want? Is that what you really want? And Obi-Wan has a furtive look and doesn't answer. So I think, it sets us up to ask these questions. Final thing I'll say is, like, it's not a space fantasy, but I love taking the big operatic space fantasy and applying it to my own life. And I will say for myself, there are some times that I have walked away from people who I think need to hear something. And I think if I try to tell them now, all we will do is fight. Somebody else will tell them when the moment is right. And you're always taking that risk. Am I being irresponsible? Am I not saying this thing to a person when they need to hear it? Or would it just cause more trauma? Or is this the time I should walk away and wait until the moment is right or the person is right? So maybe I feel Obi-Wan because I've walked away from some fights believing this fight will come, but now is not the time and I'm not the person.
Yeah, George Lucas keeps saying, Star Wars was for 12-year-olds, but like quite obviously, everyone needs to hear it all the time. Like me at 35, I feel like I'm constantly still applying things, just simple things like, you're not doing this because you're afraid to. And like, well, why is that? And that's because of Star Wars. So yeah,
what would
it's more about the lesson.
Darklighter do? Yeah. What would
exactly?
Biggs...
Grow a mustache.
Okay, you know what? Ken, I wasn't going to bring it up, but there was no young Biggs Darklighter in this episode. It was our last chance.
Yeah.
Where was young Biggs? What was even the point of this series? Is what I want to know.
I don't think Owen lets Luke go to Tashi Station until he's 14.
Yeah.
15 maybe, and I think it's a big fight, and I think Beru really has to say he needs some friends.
Yeah. Hey, remember, didn't you tell me that Obi-Wan said he needs to be a boy for a while? Yeah, he needs to go get some friends. Because at the beginning of the series, that Leia's cousins, like, I hear they don't even let you off the planet. We know the bigger reason why. We know the bigger reason. Owen might be like, no friends, but hey, it's you got to choose hope, Owen. Even at Tashi Power Station, get power converters.
Molly wave.
Molly
says hi. Yeah, I just Biggs is hanging out there like in a tiny version of that like white coat with the blue cape, and he's just leaning against Tashi Station, a little bit of peach fuzz, just like waiting for Luke to come hang out.
Yeah.
Next up, thank you so much, Miranda, here for the next super chat. This episode was so amazing. I feel like even just making someone watch part 6 between episodes 3 and 4 makes these movies better. This is the missing piece I've been longing for with the Star Wars prequels for decades. Cheers. It does. I do feel like some people have been wanting just this and didn't want the people who are more critical of the series. They didn't want to sit through the first 4 or 5 episodes to get to this part. But this part is so much better having watched the rest of the series.
We were talking about in terms of even the music. I really love what Natalie Holt did all the way through it. I know Joseph does as well, but to her to hold back some of the familiar themes until the characters become those characters that we are familiar with in New Hope, or move towards those characters, or lock their selves in as Vader does. I think it became more effective, and I liked her music before this, and that's to me just a lesson of just, we got 6 episodes. Certainly, we're having opinions along the way. Again, that's part of the fun. But yeah, it's this whole package now, and it's rewarding. But yeah, this last one, it was a great finale for that reason. Gave you kind of what you wanted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that the emotional and the physical confrontation was awesome for Vader and Kenobi, in my opinion. And I think, yeah, it's really interesting to have this thing that really, really bridges the prequel and the original trilogy. And for me, the next time I'm going to watch them all, makes them, have additional depth. The movies are great by themselves, but it'll be really fun to watch Attack the Clones and have that discussion that lots of fans are having of like, well, when did they have that sparring conversation? Was that before the border dispute on Ancion, or was that the morning of getting the Padme assignment? We all think it's pretty close, but like all those, the moments that radiate out backwards and forwards. I just watched a little bit of A New Hope, and Vader and Kenobi's conflict took on new depths. Leia's elation when Luke comes into the cell and she said, "Ben Kenobi is here." I know I'm going into dangerous waters because people are going to have very strong opinions about whether canon stuff lines up, and I hear that and I respect that. But
it does.
But for me, I feel that way as well. But for me, just the famous hologram, she is delivering a message from her father, and then at the end, without saying Ben, still using Obi-Wan, makes it personal. You're my only hope. That has even more resonance for me now, knowing they went through all this together.
Yeah, and we're saying this is some gray bearded original trilogy folks here. I have found new energy in A New Hope. I watched it the other day too, and I found some new energy for that film that I haven't had in a long time. And meaning, I love the film, and it's this, and it's perfect, and blah blah blah. It's why we're here. But you know what I mean? Like, I've watched it so many times that I'll just kind of go in the kitchen while 3PO and R2 are arguing in the desert. I'll go here. I love the trash compactor scene, but I'll work on that paperwork. I watched it. I meant to watch just the lightsaber fight for something Joseph and I were doing on ForceCenter. It comes out on the weekend, and I ended up watching the entire movie because it has a new energy to me. It's not about only new meaning or additional context. It's part of the fun. But it's similar to, after Rogue One, I was like, oh, I want to immediately go watch this movie that I've lived with for 40 plus years. And I was like the old special edition trailer, see it again for the first time. There's just a new energy to that film. And then, to the prequels, which we love. And we love the prequel generation. We owe so much to the prequel generation for keeping that flame going when everyone else wanted to stamp it out. So this series had a wonderful cross section of all these eras and generations.
Yeah.
And was it Miranda here actually sent another super chat with a question? Thank you. And what do you think are Reva's next steps? I see her joining the path.
Yeah. First of all, I hope she gets to take a nap as well. Her and Kenobi, they've been through a lot. But yeah, I'm with you too. I want that show, The Path. Star Wars Path.
A nap and surgery immediately. I don't know if I think the mods in Book of Boba Fett are a generation away yet, but maybe.
She starts the mod parlor. It's part of the path.
I like it.
It's all connected.
There is a vast collection of gut injuries in Star Wars right now, so I don't have a problem with any of them. But I think maybe next Star Wars show, maybe not 3 gut injuries in Bad Batch. I'd be okay with that. Let's leave Andor's gut alone. But no, I mean, Reva's arc in this final episode was incredibly moving to me. I really liked seeing nobody need to talk her down. Just a visual metaphor for empathy of, I know what it is to be a traumatized child. I see myself in Luke's place. How am I going to get justice? How am I going to get what I'm owed out of, continuing the cycle of violence and taking out my pain on an innocent child? I love that. And I loved it where it left her. I think the path makes a lot of sense on a technical standpoint. But, we've talked about it a lot, and I know everybody in the Star Wars talking space and fans have of Vader makes this better choice and he dies. And Ben Solo makes this better choice and he dies. And this hunger for me to see a story of somebody doing the hard work of like, I'm not one better choice and I'm out. I got to live with this, and I got to find a lifestyle and some choices that makes this right. We throw around the word redemption because it's a big mythic operatic word, and Lucas uses it. But I think seeing a character's actual what does it take to get to redemption? What does that truly mean? Right now, she made one better choice, and as Obi-Wan says, now you can choose whatever you want to be.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
Her character just represents so many, I think, powerful big themes in Star Wars, and this unprocessed trauma, unprocessed rage. Again, things are not easy to go through. What she went through was horrendous, and she has every right to be this person who feels I can only survive on my own. I can only survive through vengeance, rage, and power, and it's a clear lesson. It's clearly shown in the show, and I love the scene at the gate with her and Kenobi in Episode 5. Is perhaps one of my favorite of the show. But I'm with Joseph on, if they're going to take this character forward in any way, in any medium, doing the work is pretty fascinating take, and how the path does make a lot of sense. But there's other ways you could go with it. But it's an interesting thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes sense for her, just A, knowing that it exists, but B, I think you and Molly and I, we've all talked about just her rage at kind of discovering it and being like, why not me? And feeling resentment towards it. But I like the idea that she kind of turns around on that and says, no, like, I'm just going to stop what happened to me from ever happening again if I can help it.
And she's got the inside track on Inquisitors, right?
Yeah.
She knows their game.
Yeah, and I love it. It's that thing that kind of was unveiled a little bit later in the Maul story. I forget where exactly, but this thing of like, he had a little bit of anger of, I was force sensitive. How come no one found me and I went that way? And how I this life where I became this blunt object, as this weapon used by other people. Hey, what about me? A fair question to ask. Going back to even the stuff we're saying about Kenobi, all the righteous rage, I think that is there for the character of Reva and Maul. But what do you do with it? And here you got a character that has a chance to do something different. Be awesome to see.
I like you said, Joseph, I'm so glad that she made one right choice and lived to tell the tale, because so many characters have not. And I was so worried that she would give up her need for vengeance and then just like topple over the way that they, I mean, the Grand Inquisitor straight up had that line of, oh, the desire for vengeance sure does do wonders for the will to live. And I was like, don't you die on me, Reva.
That's a lie. But that's a lie, right? That's a lie. That's a lie. And even if you die, you're dying and moving on like Luke with peace and purpose. That's why Palpatine doesn't let go. That's why you want to know why Palpatine comes back. That's what he represents. The dark side's inability to let go and move forward is this forever circular quest for power. And so that's a lie for the Inquisitor. It works. It keeps him alive. It keeps Maul alive, and it keeps her going and kept her alive. But it's at the end of the day, it is a lie. And for her to move past that and see through it, get to the other side. Love that. Inspirational.
I think it also just has rhythms with everything that Obi-Wan has been going through. Is sometimes the harder thing is to survive and get past the guilt and the trauma and the pain. And that's what Obi-Wan has been doing this entire show. And I even we talked about this on the ForceCenter episode. I really think there was a part of Obi-Wan who's just like, it's a great tactical move to throw myself in front of Vader and everybody will be saved. And maybe I won't come back. He even says to Qui-Gon, Master, this ends today. Either he dies or I do. That Obi-Wan had this level of like, maybe it'd be easier to just save people and go out in a blaze of glory. And I think Obi-Wan in this episode really chooses to live. And like, that's a little bit what he's bonding with Reva over, of like, you made the better choice. And that's really, really hard to do. And now you got this even more difficult journey of now who are you going to be? Because that's what I've been going through.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of for Ken, I'll throw in the Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards, when he has that moment of, well, A, before the battle, he's like, Melisandre, don't wake me back up if I die. And then B, we see that moment where he fights to survive again, when Obi-Wan is buried under all that rubble, and then sees Luke and Leia and these people he wants to see again. That's what keeps him fighting out.
poor Joseph knows I love talking about the Battle of the Bastards because that is Jon Snow's greatest failure to that point. That is his greatest failure indeed. He goes on a journey to redefine what a hero is because Mance Rayder tells them, "Oh, I know." He says to him, "I know what you are. You want to be a hero," and he has to redefine that for himself. And it all leads to this moment of absolute failure. He's done great things. He's died for people who are considered less than. He has died by standing up against those who were on his quote unquote side. And in that moment, he gives into all his worst instincts. He gives into rage, passion, anxiety, and fear, charges out, gets his brother killed, which may have happened anyways, and stands before an army, sighs because he knows his mistakes have led him to death. And he's only saved by his friend and the sister he wouldn't listen to. It's a powerful moment. And I think it does kind of connect to that stuff. I thought you were going to reference the Beatles and now that you know who you are, what are you going to be? Great lyric. And I think
And I love everything that Ken always says so passionately about Battle of the Bastards, and I think it really has some great Star Wars thematics in it. It's also just a great gif, that pulling out the sword when everybody's charging for you. One of the best gifs ever.
Hall of Fame, indeed.
Couldn't agree more.
I apologize to Joseph every time I talk about it. It means so much to me because I'll tell you what, I've seen so many people, not to turn this into Game of Thrones, I've seen so many people misinterpret that moment to build up their own false sense of strength and their own false sense of what a hero is. I've seen so many people take that because the gif's memorable and it's one of the most beautiful shots. And I see that kind of stuff in Star Wars too. And I think Vader is one of the people that would be like, that was pretty cool for Jon Snow, huh? That was a pretty cool moment. And buy into the power of it all. And that's a lie.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Sean Room. Thank you, Sean. Favorite moments of narrative rhyming from this show? And there are a lot.
Ooh, yeah. There's a lot going on. I'm looking at my list.
While he's scrolling, one of my favorite ones was in this episode, and it is now the second time on camera we have seen someone close and important to Leia say, "I must leave you and go confront Vader," and how her reaction to that at 10 is obviously going to be different to what she gets later on. It just was this powerful, at times, a little bittersweet, painful reminder of this, but also a reminder of Leia's steadfast character. And this is the fight is something bigger and always has been. And that was a little beautiful moment for me.
Yeah, I think for me, Obi-Wan is not going to get through to Anakin. That is the story, and that's what played out in this. But I like that there was a couple moments of sort of poetry that really connected Obi-Wan's desire to get through to Anakin and maybe Anakin's feelings towards Obi-Wan, to mirror them with the eventual successful journey that Anakin and Luke are going to have together. There's the direct lines we were talking about earlier when Obi-Wan accepts that, okay, I'll take you at your word. You chose and you killed Anakin and you're Vader now. And he says that my friend is truly dead, just like Luke says that my father is truly dead when Vader sells him the same line in the hallway in Return of the Jedi. And then very, very similar lines from old Sheev Palpatine, who I love seeing. Haven't talked about a lot. But this episode, he says, "I wonder if your thoughts are on this are clear, Lord Vader." And very similar to the line he says about that Palpatine says to Vader about Luke in Return of the Jedi. "I wonder if your feelings on this matter are clear, Lord Vader." So two moments that sort of connect Obi-Wan and Luke in this journey of the possibility to get through to Vader, and Palpatine's fear of like, I've got a short list of people that Vader might care about, and I am very uncomfortable with them. They got to go. I got to keep checking in with Vader to make sure that none of those Anakin feelings are coming out.
I think I'm going to go with just the entirety of Part 4. All of the mirroring aspects of A New Hope and the Death Star and rescuing Leia, but also I'm a big old Fallen Order fan. So it was just like the combination of like my favorite Star Wars game and my favorite Star Wars movie. I feel like a lot of people, that was one of the more maligned episodes. And I walked out of that one like, that was great. So I'm just going to celebrate Part 4 a little bit.
I love Part 4. I love the use of that to measure where the characters are, where they'll end up. I didn't see needless killing of animals, so I don't know how it attached.
There was needless shooting of a mouse bot. I think that's the closest we could have gotten.
It really was needless. Like, did that mouse droid have a blaster I didn't see? Yeah,
I laughed and screamed no at the same time.
It was horrendous. It was horrendous.
I understand with the scene Terrace Nube's corpse. They went, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's great.
I thought the hello there in this episode, I loved it. I know that is something that risks being, as I saw it trending on my Twitter, he said the thing that risks being the Leonardo DiCaprio point at the screen moment. I get it. But for me, the hello there, that is Obi-Wan being friendly and avuncular and playful and, disarming. When he says it to R2, it really is. Don't worry, everything's fine. It's me. When he says it to Grievous, it's a joke of like, I'm being super casual in this non-casual situation. So this felt so earned. I'm glad he didn't have a tortured weird hello there. I'm glad that it was this moment of true joy for him. Of he's happy to meet Luke Skywalker. That was a teary-eyed moment for me. That had emotional resonance. I really understand anybody who maybe got bumped because he said the thing, but for me, it so worked on like. Obi-Wan did all this work and he's ready to say this and he's saying it when he meets Luke Skywalker. It really worked for me.
Well, I think that's a great thing to bring up because in part 3, when they meet Freck, Leia pushes him to say hello and he goes, hello. And like everyone, including me, I was like, oh, we were that close.
Wouldn't have been sincere,
you're so
right?
That's not the time to do it. It would have been a very sad hello there, whatever. Like, it works so much better at the very end when he is happy and smiling again.
Yeah. Owen's grumpy. You want to meet him? Like, oh man. It gets me whenever anybody gives in Star Wars, gives somebody else what they deeply need. And when it comes from a grumpy character, twice as beautiful.
The look on Obi-Wan's face when he hears that really hit me.
Yeah.
But Joseph, you're that's number 2 on your list. The number 1 is when Wuher actually gives Luke the drink. Where he actually
Yeah, I would love that. I would love if Luke comes back to Tatooine and like shows Wuher, I'm a Jedi Master now. I know how to order a drink.
Next up, we have a super chat from James Clancy. Thank you, James. 10 out of 10 for the return of Jyn. The duel was the best since Revenge of the Sith. I almost said Return of the King for no reason. Loved the series. Can't wait to see what character Reva becomes now.
Great. Yeah.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
And I think I've seen some people in chat saying like, well, Reva is aware that Luke is somehow. I mean, I think from the show, she's piecing together that he's related to Anakin, and that's why she is taking out the vengeance of like, if I can't beat Vader, I'll take something from him and cause him pain. And I think that already tells us some about what's going to happen to Reva. Reva clearly is somewhat responsible with that knowledge, or contains any fallout from it.
Yeah,
and we don't know, where she went immediately. Like, she and Obi-Wan might hang out for a while. He might go get that hut and she could like be healed. Yeah. She probably needs to heal. And so they can get to know each other a little more. And then Obi-Wan's like, okay, you're cool. I trust you. Like, I'm definitely someone who is a little bit like, how does this work now that someone knows about Luke? And having seen it, I'm accepting it, because obviously nothing bad happens to him. But I'm curious how they're going to deal with that moving forward.
Well, look, I've and we've discussed this in ForceCenter a few times. I've butted up against this idea of I grew up thinking it was Obi-Wan, Vader, and Luke, and that was it for the Jedi.
Yeah,
right. That's the sense you got from A New Hope, and then as time goes on, you realize Lucas set that up to almost be impossible because there's only 19 years between the films, and the idea that people would survive. And sometimes, even I tease you, but I do love that the story of Fallen Order is great, and I love the characters, and Cal Kestis is around, Kanan's around, Ezra. There's all these characters, Ahsoka, Quinlan Voss, and it's just a matter of that's what I told myself for years, but that wasn't necessarily true. So the idea that Reva does know, but who's to say she can't be part of keeping that secret in some way because she understands how important that might be, or something else happens to her, good, bad, or otherwise. So but it's fun. It's okay, and I think that is we're not crapping on the question of how. We're just saying go beyond it. But how does that work? I hope there's going to be an answer.
It's just learning new information. Like if Obi-Wan in A New Hope had been like, and this is my friend Reva, who's also watched over you from 9 years ago. Like, obviously, no one would have any issue with this now. It's just that we're doing it in reverse.
Smash cut to me in the theater, May of 1999. Going, who's Qui-Gon? I didn't know.
Yeah, Yoda trained Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I think one of the great mysteries still left to be discovered of Obi-Wan is why he has all that stuff in his hut in A New Hope. That there's kind of a lot
all that
in his little 1-bedroom apartment there, and kind of like that. Like, this is all stuff Reva left when she crashed here.
Yeah,
I love that. Some adventures to be had.
Our next super chat here is from our mutual friend Ken Plume. Thank you, Ken.
Hello.
I'm going to need you all to rank Kenobi versions. I'm not sure exactly what he means by that, but I was going to throw it to Joseph because I know you've been clamoring for Black Series Rebels figures of every version of Kenobi in this series. So can you rank your Kenobi Black Series action figures that you want based off of this series?
Black Series, and I'm a big vintage guy, the 3 3/4. I'll take the Black Series. Like, no, I want them all and in order. I mean, I think if they were just going to put out one, I really do like the look that he has when he's fighting Vader with the slightly darker beige robes, and then that are very Episode 3, and then the Jedi cloak, the armless Jedi cloak that he purposefully made the choice to pick up. That would be great. He should come with rocks that he can throw at Vader. But I want one of
like a catapulting arm that you can. There's a switch on the back.
Yeah, there's a little plastic thing on the back that you chuck it. But I really like his progression that he goes from in the show, that he goes from dark grays, moody blues, and then he slowly gets more and more Jedi until he ends, in which I know a lot of people really appreciate, the Sideshow Collectibles mythos look with the goggles and the much brighter, clean cloak, and he's going on, and he's got a backpack. He's going on an adventure, and I would love that one as well. I want them all. All. There we go.
This is the only Sideshow I have, and it's fun to see it in live action now. Yeah, absolutely. I want to shout out. Someone had to, just talk about. We do love the nuts and bolts. I think this is a great little point here from. Where there it is. Oh gosh, you got to scroll. Gosh, Alex, you get so many comments. Creston Chi says, "Hey, Owen says Luke is his. Reva doesn't necessarily know that's Anakin's son. She gets a broken message. We infer that she knows that it's got something to do with Vader, and I think that's the big theme behind it. We got that kind of sense. But if you're just looking for a little bit of detail that might make you think maybe she doesn't know, that's a good piece of information. That Owen says it's mine." Maybe she goes, I don't know, maybe I had it wrong. Maybe it's not Anakin's kid. I don't know. But that's just in terms of nuts and bolts.
That we're about to cover that in the very next question.
Excellent.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to warn you. I think if I had to, my top Kenobi, I honestly think is probably the Mythos one that we got right there at the end. Which was just, I don't know, something about those goggles. I really like the goggles, but I think it's more about the fact that he was happy and smiling and just riding that Ayopi around. Hey, Qui-Gon, what's up? Like,
but the robes are
just so much fun.
The robes are brighter. Kenobi doesn't even particularly like going fast, but he's like, well, I'm ready. I got goggles.
Yeah, how fast can that Ayopi go? And he's like, oh, break the goggles out.
And he needs to come with the toy Skyhopper. For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I respect that you always think of what accessories they'll all come with.
That's the fun. That's one of the parts of the fun for me.
Yeah. As far as ranking figures, that might come out of the show. I definitely think Nap Kenobi is one that I'm excited in. Trench coat hiding late Kenobi. I definitely want that.
Oh yeah, that's it.
But I don't know. Butcher Kenobi's just, there's something about it. Whereas Joseph wants to celebrate the cheery happiness at the end. I'm like, that was me in my day job for a long time. I get that. I want that figure.
I already there's not a vintage yet, but there's a Target exclusive pre-order of the blue meat cutting shirt, and it's the exact same color blue of the shirt I had to wear at Kinko's. So I really related to, like, I can't believe there's an Obi-Wan Kenobi in Kinko's blue. So I'm definitely getting that guy.
I do like the blue. He looks good in it, even though he's sad. He looks good.
It's his blue phase, man.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that question on why did Reva want to go after Luke? Was it revenge on Obi-Wan? Thank you, Stephen W. Fathery. Like, when we saw the end of episode 5, I was kind of like, maybe she just thinks this is part of the path. She got the broken message that was just like the children, Owen, Tatooine. So I kind of was thinking that's where her head was at, but I don't think that anymore. I do think she legit thought, like, this is someone related to Vader, and if I can't kill him, then I'll hurt him this way. So I'm not sure how she figured that out, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like she is pretty intuitive. That not only did she see Anakin, and more than see Anakin at the temple, but she's aware of who Obi-Wan is. She has that very intuitive moment where Obi-Wan's like, "Come on, we'll work together. We'll take down Vader," and she's intuitive enough to go like, "Is that what you really want?" So I think she's a smart, intuitive person, and I think she finds this broken, clearly left behind message. In the individual bits we get of it is, something about keep him away from the children, or hope he hasn't found the children. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember exactly what it says, but it is an element of like, keep him away from the kids. And then a message of where they are, Tatooine, and then Owen. So enough that she could do exactly what she does in this episode is find him. So for me, it just kind of makes it makes character sense that she'd be intuitive enough to say, that's part of what Obi-Wan is doing, is he's hiding the kids. I don't think she puts anything Leia together, but I think that she has reason to believe that Luke is a weak point for Vader. And to me, it just makes emotional sense of what she says. I'm owed this. I need justice. I just tried to get it from Vader, and he's too powerful for me. He made me just relive the same trauma again. I have to get at him. It's so about Anakin. The storytelling right there is so about Anakin and her need for vengeance against Anakin. That is the reason that makes me feel like she thinks that he's Anakin's. And I think that's why she phrases it to Owen. You're treating him like he's your own. Yeah, and maybe when Owen says he is my own, we of course read that as a fist pump for found family and for adoption. And he is Owen's son. Owen loves him like a son. And maybe she goes, wow, I was wrong. Maybe. But that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I have no real big additional insight to add to that, other than I did think I took it as a bit of a proxy for Anakin, especially at the end. But again, I love these details. This is what's fun. I think the show took great care of these details, but this one leaves me to wonder either way. I think it's more than just related to Kenobi. She's done the research, Kenobi and Bail. She's connected. She's made these connections. She was there, experienced the anger and hate, violence of Vader firsthand. And that's why she's here, to get back at him. And if she can't get him, she can at least try something that has importance. So even if it is just, I don't know, it's his son, but I know there's something that he needs there, I'm going to take that from him. I can accept on that level. But to Joseph's point of, right there, like, what are you doing, grumpy old man? You're acting like it's your son, and it is mine. Oh, okay. And then you can kind of take the story from there. But I still see it as a in her mind, a replacement for Anakin at that moment. I can get back at him somehow through this.
Yeah. No, and I'd say a lot of people are interpreting it as Obi-Wan's, and maybe that's the intention. I think for Reva's character, if she thought it was Anakin's son, if she thought it was Obi-Wan's son, if she thought it was just somebody that they wanted to protect, I think her motivation remains the same of, I will take out my vengeance on somebody who can't resist.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Revanzilla. Thank you so much. Don't the other Inquisitors know about Leia from episode 2 when they confronted the third sister for using her successfully as Kenobi bait? Yeah, but I don't think they know anything more about her.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go for it, Ken.
Well, I think I know which direction you might go here, Joseph. Of just let's not forget that it's not viewed as a good thing that she took the daughter of a senator. That's still key to Palpatine's reign of power. Is this, puppet government? He's got to be in place. It's not viewed as a great thing. So even if they're like, it's Bale's daughter, like, what are you doing, nutball? Don't do that. You're gonna get us in trouble. Like, even Emperor might have problems with that on some level. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of direction I go with that.
Yeah, same thing. I think that the Inquisitors didn't learn anything about Leia being force sensitive or Leia being connected to Vader in any way, unless I'm forgetting something. I think they are very aware of her as a senator's daughter. And right now, Palpatine needs the Senate up until the Death Star. He wipes it out in A New Hope because he doesn't need it anymore at that point. And even at the beginning of A New Hope, Leia is acting with some amount of like, you can't do anything to me. I'm on a mercy mission. I'm a senator's daughter, and the Imperial is even like holding her is dangerous. Like, so I think if by the time of A New Hope there was still some sensitivity of like, look, this is the Empire, this is Palpatine's government, but we still kind of need the Senate, and we still even in Rogue One they're spinning what happened on Scarif. So I think there is the sensitivity with Leia is, the Empire does whatever it wants, but this is going to cause some real problems kidnapping a senator's daughter. And Leia is well known to the galaxy and will become more well known as a senator's daughter and a senator herself.
Yeah, well said. I wanted to check in with you both. It's been another half hour. How you doing on time? How you feeling?
I'm good to about 5. Then I got a microwave burrito calling my name.
Okay.
Yep, I still have a little bit of drink left, so I'm good.
Okay, great. I'll check in another 24 minutes, Ken.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mace Harris. Thank you, Mace. I stand with Moses Ingram, and I hope she gets some kind of spin-off show in the future, or at least shows up in a future show like Ahsoka or Rangers of the New Republic. I try not to keep up with rumors and stuff, but there have been like talks, I think, of a season 2 or a spin-off or something. I don't know. I would be down to continue following her and see where Reva goes.
Yep, yeah. Me too. I'd be happy for her to show up in a story that it makes sense for her to be in. I would be really happy to get her, like we're talking about her story of how do I move on. I made one good choice. Now how do I build a life that I'm proud of and helps me move forward? I'd be very excited for that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. We keep talking about this Path spinoff idea. There's always so many Disney Plus Star Wars shows being pitched, developed, rumored, all those kind of things. It's I lose track of them. Even Rangers of the New Republic would seem to be gone and hopefully replaced with the Carson Teva music and comedy variety hour. But I think there's great value to this character. Love having proud to have Moses Ingram in this Star Wars world. Really love the work she did, especially how it landed. Those final 2 episodes were just some of the best stuff, and excited for that. There's many ways you could tell her story going forward.
Yeah, and I have said before, I've admitted to like the first couple episodes, I was like, I don't know about this character, and I don't know that the portrayal is landing with me, but getting into it and actually realizing, I think it was in part 3 that I was like, oh, when she discovered the path and how angry she was, and it gave off that, and I think we pieced together at that point, she was that youngling in the first scene, just being like, oh, this is like, she is posturing and she is trying to act tougher. And that line she had to Leia about the braver you act, the more afraid you are. I'm like, okay, like everything about this makes complete sense. And I just understood it and it clicked with me. So yeah. And especially Ken, like you said, these last 2 episodes, this one, especially, I thought she crushed it. Her final scene was so good. And I wish there were a little more closure for her in this series. That I was kind of hoping there'd be a post-credit scene or something where we just saw her like happy, I guess. Or at least working towards something.
She has made this decision to make a better choice, right? And like we always say, it's not easy to do, but to heal from this kind of stuff, and she's had this horrendous thing happen to her and carried the weight and the guilt. And yes, I think there was some false bravado, but also buying into this lie of strength, a certain kind of strength as power, or power as a strength versus mercy and other ways to do it. I think it's all there, but there's just, it's wide open landscape with that kind of characters. Just imagining what story you want to put her in,
Yeah.
It'd be great. It'd be great.
It's so hard to, in real life, it's so hard to step back from rage when you get to that point, in it particularly rage when something horrible has legitimately happened to you and you have legitimately been wronged and you need a path forward. And for me, like, I thought it was a really great victory that she stopped herself. Just empathy, just remembering what it was like to be in the position that Luke was in. Again, that visual storytelling of a flash of her lying exactly where Luke was, and then having that cathartic conversation with Obi-Wan where, he gives her that gift of what she needs to hear of you broke the cycle of violence, you honored your friends. It is, I was so happy for that, because it's really, really moving to me. And I think Moses Ingram played everything from that just simmering rage to that kind of playful enjoying the violence, the sing-song Obi-Wan early on, to this amazing, just totally vulnerable, totally honest breakdown in the final episode. I thought she was phenomenal.
Yeah, and one of my favorite moments was that at the doorway scene in episode 5 of that line of "You don't know what I've done alone." That's just so true. And I just want to say, you're probably not wrong. You probably to get through what you did and survive and go through what it's probably true. But you just went down this wrong path. And yeah, anyways, it's wide open with that character. I would love to see something somewhere.
Not to mention, we talk about how, like, yay, we have a character that, like, redeemed themselves, made a good choice, and we want to see them move forward. If we don't see them move forward, then it is kind of like another Ben Solo or Darth Vader or Trilla, where it's like, okay, well, they made their good choice and then they died. How is that any different from they made their good choice and we never see them again? So it would be nice to see her again and see what atonement looks like.
Absolutely.
Next up is from Thurl Unfiction. Thank you, Thurl. If Obi-Wan killed Vader, storyboards yells loud no. Thurl, I don't know what that means.
But I agree with it.
But I appreciate it.
I'm imagining a Pixar film where the actual storyboards are alive, and you try to draw that, and the storyboards are like, no.
Storyboards yells loud no. J Bell, thank you for another super chat. Lucasfilm calls you for input on a Mace Windu TV show. Should it be animated or live action? Should it be about him surviving episode 3 or his early life? I'm all for early life over survival.
No survival for me. No, yeah, I love Mace. I also love Mace because he consistently is so close to being right, but just so wrong in the way he looks at some things. Joseph and I have been talking about this for a while on the show. Like, love it. But I love that 5-issue younger Mace comic series that came out. Was I thought just some of my favorite Mace stuff, and really just taking him up to that moment of holding the blade over Palpatine and going back and telling a little bit more of that story. So I would be down for that. I know I'm sure Sam Jackson would be like, all right, cool, DH me, let's do it.
Yeah, I like the Mace Windu comic a lot. I would love more Mace Windu. I would love early life stuff. I think that would be really fascinating. There's a part of me is like, yeah, let's get Samuel L. Jackson back. But I kind of feel like my take is that, Obi-Wan and Yoda both go like, oh, wow, we were played into a war and we made things worse by fighting this war we shouldn't have. Let's take a deep breath. And I think if Mace lived, which in my headcanon he doesn't, I think he'd be like, great, I'm going at that that bleeper Palpatine again. That is my take. I'd be more interested in early life.
And we are getting a slightly earlier life in Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
We definitely know he's going to be in Tales of the Jedi in that Dooku story, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Steven, thank you for the next super chat. Very nice one. Thanks so much to both these channels and podcasts for getting me through the last couple of years. Your positivity and insight have helped me love Star Wars even more than I already did.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Ian.
Stephen.
Thank you, and for the fun amount there is awesome. Thank you very much. It's extremely kind.
Laser Swords is next up. Thank you. I think Obi-Wan not killing Vader was him not destroying what he hates, but instead focusing on saving what he loves.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a fair way to look at it.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I mean, I think for me, I really felt the resonance with that great line when he's buried under the rocks and he's hearing all of the anger of Vader and Anakin, and instead of kind of giving into that, he thinks about the future and the twins and his personal connection with him. He hasn't met Luke yet, we realize, but just seeing them in all those Luke and Leia and all these moments that Kenobi has observed them really was about, I need to get out of here and I need to keep fighting to save what I love. And then I know Laser Swords has taken that further to the end of the duel and the choice, which I think is really great too.
Yeah. I think we've hit this a lot, but I really like your take on that it's him righting a wrong in some ways and leaving it for the next generation to fix because he can't do it. Hey, PJ Campbell, how are you? And thanks so much.
Hey.
Could listen to you guys talk Star Wars forever. Thanks for being some of the most well-spoken and well-rounded voices in the Star Wars fandom. Much love. Thanks, Peach.
Oh, thank you, PJ. But could you get some of those questions in on time? All right. Gosh. Now your EGs out there in Arizona get to work now. PJ,
Yeah, maybe stop watching live streams. Oh my God.
Yeah. Thank you for stumping me over the years, PJ.
No, love it. No, we appreciate that, especially now more than ever. But it isn't anything about what we're saying. It's just trying to build up a community around you that just wants to continue to be inspired and grow from Star Wars while also celebrating and enjoying it as what we try to do.
I think you do a good job of that.
I think you do too, Alex.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Blake Davison, thank you for the next super chat. Is it just me, or did the lighting of the sabers and the broken mask scene represent Anakin's soul combating Vader? Blue light is Anakin, red light is Vader.
If that, I've watched the episode 3.5 times already today, and I'm still kind of doing that. So I haven't seen all those little details, but that would make some sense. That would remind me a lot of Kylo and Han in Force Awakens. That had that kind of vibe too.
Yeah, no, like I said, I've been really taken with the changes of lighting on Obi-Wan and Anakin's face at the end. But with this great thought, the next time I watch it, which is going to be soon with my wife when she gets home, I'm going to watch for what exact moments are Kenobi's blue light reflecting on Vader. Yeah, I think that's a really intriguing visual bit of storytelling.
And this made me think of the Ahsoka moment in Star Wars Rebels, where like the exact same thing happens. In my mind, there is a little bit of hesitation in Anakin or Vader in that episode. You just kind of like see it in his eyes twitching around. Did you get any sense of that in this episode with Obi-Wan?
First of all, I really agree about the Rebels moment. I absolutely think there's a little bit of Ahsoka gets to him in a way maybe no one to that point has had. We hadn't known this moment yet, of course. And I agree with you. And I think he fights back because he's despite what he says, he's always at war with himself. I would believe that. Yeah, I did get I don't, again, it's just, I don't believe anything he's saying. You know what I mean? It's just like you're beaten. You stay down, Annie. And I just think everything is just a lie. It's a false front. It's trying to sell the power. So I'll have to really review to see if there's as the great Biff Naked once saying, just a moment of weakness. But I think it's always there in the soul. Anyways, I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, story points along Vader's journey now with a lot of the comics that I've really enjoyed. But this felt like, for some of the live action storytelling, that like maybe there was this tiny possibility of Anakin opening up. Obviously, we've had a lot of fun discussion and a lot of different takes on how much was Anakin pushing, how much was Vader having to push him down. Was the you didn't kill Anakin? Was how much of that was some subconscious or even conscious gift to Obi-Wan. I think there's a lot of fun there to debate. But what I feel like this show ended at is, even if Vader's only connection to Kenobi is, I'm going to make everything about him, this is my number one top priority, he gets slapped down by Palpatine, and Palpatine goes like, normally I'm all about burning and destroying things to chase people we hate, but it seems like maybe you're doing that because you like him. It's totally a like, are you teasing Kenobi because you like him? I think you should knock it off. And the fact that Vader is immediately like, no, Kenobi means nothing. I serve only you. To me, I just kind of take that of any amount of Anakin that was striving to come out, got slapped down now. And by the time you see in Ahsoka, it's a different relationship because she was his responsibility, right? That maybe anything that's burbling has already gone through this, at least once with Obi-Wan. The connection there is interesting to me.
Yeah, and I even seen kind of a great comment here. It's something we talked about today on the show and have been talking about the masks. So Kenobi takes one side, Ahsoka takes the other. Then a lot of people saying Luke, removes the mask. But that to me is the end of this journey of what even we learned with the flashback fight, the training sequence of how Anakin / Vader is always looking to win. He's always got this view of victory, domination, power. And he does that never changes until the very end, where he gives up his life, gives up that concept and changes his definition of victory, and then says, take the mask off of me. So I love the use of that. These two moments work in concert to feed towards the crescendo at the end, if you will.
Yeah. I like this next question from Star Orange 36. Thank you. Happy smiley Obi-Wan at the end with Leia made me so happy. More Vivian as Leia. The way Obi-Wan told Owen that he doesn't need his protection leaves it open for him to leave Tatooine again. I'm on board now. Like, that was something when they were first whispering about this movie and then series, the story in general, I was like, no, he shouldn't leave Tatooine. He shouldn't do it. And then when it's Leia, I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot. Like, that makes complete sense, and he should. And now that he's done it once, and I've seen the execution of it, I'm like, yeah, he can do what he wants. If he wants to leave Tatooine, he can leave Tatooine. I'm on board.
Yeah. Look, I didn't start drinking until I was 26, and then I was like, oh, well, here we go. So anyway, let's continue there. I'll jump in after you.
No. I really liked that. For me, I've gone on a journey of growing up with the original trilogy and then having new ideas added and challenging the assumptions that I've made. And one of the assumptions can be like, oh, well, ever since whatever happened, even before the prequels came out, it's like, well, Obi-Wan sits in that hut and he senses if Luke's got problems and he runs in. And I think that is still the story up to a point. We see it in Rebels. That's exactly what happens. There have been some canon comics that's what happens. That is an element of the story. But I like that this sort of expanded it for Obi-Wan needs to be a full and complete person himself to best be there for Luke. And just sitting there, staring at Luke do chores, and that being Obi-Wan's whole life, was somehow not entirely fulfilling and didn't help him move forward. And I love the end of this show where he's like, you are his parents, and that's what he needs. He needs loving parents who will do anything to protect him. I'm still here for him, but I'm going to give him the space he needs. One of the things I really liked about this episode is it wasn't just mentors in the older generation protecting young people. It was letting Luke and Leia evolve in the way they need to, right? Leia's great. I can lead, but I want to do it the way that I want to. I'm adding a holster to the ensemble.
And the gloves.
And the gloves. So great. So great. And I think that Obi-Wan being willing to take a step back and just literally going like, I have this thing I need to complete myself. I have this training to do with my master. I got to go work on Obi-Wan. I'm going a little farther out in the desert to do it. I don't think he's like, yeah, and I barely hang out at Tatooine anymore. I think he's still mainly based on Tatooine, but might leave every once in a while if something is deeply needed. I don't think he's like, yeah, check in every 5 years. The kid's still there. Like, I don't think it's that laissez-faire, but I agree that it does open him up to be like Quinlan Voss buddy comedy. Quinlan comes calling, or Reva comes calling, or, Qui-Gon convinces him, you can't complete this journey without leaving the planet. Like, I think if something rises to the occasion, he might leave.
Yeah, he's got a whole new apartment to fill with items that could be treasures of his new adventures. And like Joseph said, to echo that, this goes maybe to this conversation around what it destroys in continuity. And I will now add this to a hill that I will die on. This show destroys no continuity. It only builds on it. It is this idea of, I personally, Ken, thought Obi-Wan Kenobi left the planet. Who told me that? Star Wars? One of the novels? No. Me and my friend Terry on the playground. That was our answer, because we hadn't heard any other options yet, and we hadn't thought of any other options yet. And I too, I was all on board the idea of the film version, when that was starting to float out, and Stuart Beatty attached to that, and him confronting Vader again. I was like, that's interesting. I just kind of always envisioned it on Tatooine. So I don't think you called yourself an idiot, Alex. You're not an idiot if you go, hey, there's some certain things I thought about Star Wars. Just like I said earlier, I thought Luke was the last of the Jedi. The fact that there's other people, including Ahsoka, running around was not something that I would have accounted for, especially because George didn't know he was going to tell more stories. He wrote on one of these and thought, this is it in 77, and we'll see if we get more. And then now you have the opportunity to go more. And the tip of the iceberg storytelling we celebrate at ForceCenter is just because you haven't heard the rest of the story yet. You haven't heard that time that Poe ran away because he had some issues with his father and got into a different part of his life, and how that informs his life going forward. You just didn't hear that yet. And now we have an opportunity to, I would love to see Kenobi. First of all, he goes in Monday morning and quits his job. I ain't cutting meat no more.
That's what I was hoping the post-credit scene would be, is
Yeah.
that butcher, I don't know, foreman, whatever you call that dude.
I call him a character
from
Cohen. He looks like a villain from a Coen's brother movie in the 80s.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
I grew up with Superman 2, where Superman, who believes in peace and justice, gets his power back, and then just goes and clocks the dude who beat him up previously in the movie once he gets his powers back.
Yeah.
I don't think Obi-Wan is like, you're right, Qui-Gon Master. I need to think of what the next steps are. First, I just gotta go give a beating to this rude butcher.
He goes over there, F you, not you. You're cool. You're cool. F you.
You know what I think he does? I think he says, Qui-Gon, we got to make a pit stop. There is a group of meat cutters and packers, and I need to convince them to unionize. I think that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, I think this next question is a great one, a great final one for the two of you, because it's looking forward into the future, just like Obi-Wan is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael New. Any thoughts on the upcoming series Andor?
Ooh. Ken,
I
go
have
for it.
lots, but you guys go first.
This has been the one that people have marked me crazy when it was first coming about, and I was like, "This is gonna be the series, man. This is gonna be the series." And I've been looking forward to Kenobi and love them all. But yeah, there's just something about that 19 years between those episode 3 and 4 where I love the stories of the rebellion growing, the rebellion coming together. I am so thrilled to see Mon Mothma elevated to a kind of a co-lead in this kind of story, if you will, based on what Tony Gilroy was saying. But Cassian represents so much. It represents it's not just a simple matter of the growing rebellion. It's how the oppressed people fight, and then the idea of those up in the ivory towers, those who choose to use their position and privilege to help, and how that works in this galaxy that we love so much. It is a continuation of obviously what we've seen in Rogue One, but it's a continuation of the world that Solo helped build out, of what oppression actually looks like, and how it destroys industries, destroys people, destroys families, destroys life, destroys worlds. That's why I always call Enfys Nest the new face of the rebellion, because she takes her mask off to be like, I'm exhausted, I need a drink, and I need help, because we need people to help us in this. And it's going to be extension of all that. I'm not saying I'd love Enfys Nest to be in this series. I'm not necessarily thinking that's the case. Could be. We know Saw might pop up, sure, because he's got some radical views on how to fight, and some of them might not be wrong. And he's kind of an adversary to Mon Mothma. So I'll stop my rant before I sound like I'm talking about Jon Snow and the Battle of Bastards again. I just love everything it could represent and key to the overall Star Wars saga. And it's really looking at this fight and what it does on what it's like on the ground.
Yeah, no, I think I'm really interested in it from all the story thematic stuff. I really love the revelation from the articles and from the trailer, like Ken is saying, that we are going to really see these people who are being absolutely victimized by the Empire and kind of have a choice to live with it or fight, but it's in their backyard. The fight is coming to them. I think that's really powerful. I love those drums, the weird chime drums, the time grappler, I think is what the subtitles call him. It feels so like the way that trailer is constructed. Maybe they'll play it out in the show this way, maybe it won't. The way it's constructed, it feels like, yeah, no, that's a part of this culture. We announce the time, we announce group meetings, we announce things, and the Empire doesn't really know what our drums mean. But what the drums I'm playing are, we're done. The Empire's coming, and we're done taking it. And I'm spreading this cultural message. I get Ewok vibes of the Empire not understanding or respecting the culture that they're dealing with, and it's the look of it is very realistic, like Rogue One, very grounded, very in the dirt. This very real battle contrasted with Mon Mothma in this place of power and in this place of privilege, and she could probably just have a great life if she was like, you know what, it's okay, fine. And the fact that we're getting that contrast of somebody in her position of power needing to step up and being in danger. I got high Sheev hopes, which I maybe shouldn't have, but seeing Senate shots makes me very excited. And then final thing for me is I'm just really excited about a different story structure. We've had lots of there's a very specific style to the Mandoverse. Obi-Wan was this short, limited experience. I think 12 episodes. It's going to have a different structure, a different style of pace. So I'm really excited about that variety, which I think we really, really need.
Yeah. I mean, I think just looking at Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can see that they're not committed to, all of the Star Wars shows are going to feel the same. Where I don't know that I wouldn't say that all the MCU shows feel the same, but I get the sense that maybe the Star Wars shows will be more unique. And I'm excited about that. That's why I'm excited about Andor, is because I think it's going to feel really different. I'm excited to explore the character of Cassian, who we've only known for one movie and one comic. And I think he's popped up in a book or two, but he's only existed for 6 years, which is short for Star Wars terms. And I just think it's going to be cool to see a person whose story we know the end of, but we don't know the beginning so much, and it's more of the unknown. And I find myself kind of leaning that direction, where I'm excited for Andor. I'm excited for the Acolyte. That's why I love the High Republic so much. So I'm super psyched to get to Andor.
Yeah. The other thing for me is that it is, been advertised as a thriller. Some of the people working on it worked on The Americans, which is a high intensity. You're undercover, you say the wrong thing, you look the wrong way, you pick up the wrong book, you might die because somebody might figure it out. Combine that with the fact that we've been told there's a massive cast of characters we don't know. There could be some really, really fun storytelling and fun for the community. We know what happens to Andor, but if we meet a bunch of new characters, fall in love with them, and it's kind of life or death every week, and we end on some cliffhangers, and as a fan community, we get to have those like, oh no, is so-and-so brand new character that we love gonna make it out or not? And we truly don't know. I think that's going to be really invigorating and thrilling for the community.
Yeah, I mean, that's as much as I enjoyed Obi-Wan Kenobi, I did not once have that just sheer kind of terror moment that the Book of Boba Fett gave me when Cad Bane walked up to Cobb Vanth. And I was like, oh no, is he going to make it out of this? Like, I can't remember the last time a TV show made me feel that ill. So I'm looking forward to some of those moments. But Ken, I know you've got a burrito to get to, and Joseph, I'll let you head off to. So where can everyone follow ForceCenter? Where can they follow you? And I also want to shout out Jennifer Landa, who couldn't make it today, but I did include her in the description down below.
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow us on Twitter at ForceCenter Pod. We're on Instagram, YouTube as well. We actually have a live Q&A hangout on Friday. We've been doing those more and more. A lot of fun to hang out and interact with all of you there. You can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter if you so choose. And for me, you can follow me at Cadnapsock. Go to my website, cadnapsock.com. Got my book, Why We Love Star Wars. I've got stand-up comedy dates and all those kind of good things. Or you can just, stare at my dumb face some more over there. Also, I have I really love if you love music, I'm an old radio DJ, as some of you know. if you can't tell by the beard and the beanie. So go. I have a show called Pop Rock Radio. Pop Rock and Radio on Mixcloud, live music show. Me, not DJ, but rock and roll, sports and weather coming up, DJ. And we hang out and have fun. So that's another thing I'm real proud of. Check it out. Thanks, Alex, as always.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. On TikTok, I like to share some of my action figures, mostly ones I haven't opened, but maybe someday I'll share the few that I have indeed opened. My wonderful little Obi-Wan friend who has been with me for many, many years right here. So you can check me out on social media, and then you can go to my website, josephscrimshot.com, for all of my other adventures, shows I've written for, stand-up comedy stuff, and my other podcast, Obsessed. Right now, the episode is my wife interviewing me about my obsession with the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it's a good one to check out if you're a Star Wars fan. So that's josephscrimshot.com.
Thank you both. Links to all of their Twitters on the podcast are down in the description right now, as well as Jennifer Landa, the third host of ForceCenter. And thank you again for taking 2 hours out of your day to come hang out, talk Star Wars. It's always a pleasure. Love talking Star Wars with both of you.
Well, thank you. It's been absolutely great to spend time with you, Alex, and all the great people listening and watching.
Yeah, pleasure as always. And Molly, just keep chugging. I just did that last week. You're going to be okay.
I will share a text from earlier today. She texted me that the first transport is away, and I responded with the appropriate Rebels cheering gif once whatever she's drinking started working.
Confronting colonoscopies is the destiny of a Jedi.
All right.
Well, thank you both. I'll
it
see
easy.
you up, and I'm still going to stick around and answer some questions. So,
Okay.
thank you, Ken and Joseph.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya. All right. We're going to keep diving into questions, but seriously, go check out ForceCenter Podcast. They are two of my favorite Star Wars fans. Jennifer Landa took a hiatus from the show because, she had a child, and she has recently been joining the show more and more. But all three of them are wonderful. I love talking Star Wars with all of them. So please go check out ForceCenter if you never have. But let's get back into questions with Maddie Gunner. What's up, Maddie? Do you think Tika cleared out Obi-Wan's cave while he was away? Seems like a perfect opportunity. Yeah, there probably wasn't much to pack up in that final scene where he's like putting up the bedroll and everything. And at least he still had the ship. Tika didn't take that back, but yeah, the moisture evaporator. Tika probably took a lot of stuff thinking they would sell it back to Obi-Wan, and he was like, "Joke's on you. I don't need that anymore." But yeah, I think if not Tika, some enterprising Jawa probably robbed Obi-Wan. We got 2 from CJH. Thank you so much. First one says, hands down, one of the greatest episodes ever. And at this point, should we get a Hayden Vader series? I really liked this episode. I'm going to jump into the second question, though. If I can find it here in the chat. There we go. Should we get a Hayden Vader series? I don't think so. But like I said a few minutes ago, I'm just someone that starts to lean more towards wanting to explore new things. And Cassian is not a new character, but he's new-ish at least. So I'm excited to get away from the characters we've known for 45 years at this point. Vader has had, 6 movies, the Clone Wars series, if you want to count Anakin, which I think you should, books and comics. And we're getting to a point where I'm like, I don't know how much more there is to say about Darth Vader. Whereas Obi-Wan, at least, like, we got to see him grow and change, but that is kind of the thing with Vader, is he doesn't grow. That's the dark side. Vader grows a little bit, to his credit. I think he grows between Obi-Wan and A New Hope, but he still never gets what he wants. And a lot of his stories are more of the same, where like he's wrestling with his choices and his past and himself, and he's trying not to have feelings, and then he has feelings, and then Palpatine zaps him and crushes all of his mechanical parts and tortures him. And that's happened multiple times in the comics. So I just don't know what else there is to say about Vader, especially if he is this character that is not meant to ever get what he wants. You know, he's like Sisyphus, and Maul has been compared to Sisyphus as well. But you know, he's rolling this boulder up the hill, and he never achieves his goal. So I don't know how entertaining that would be as a show, unless they really changed the kinds of stories they were going to tell, I guess is what I'm thinking. Star Wars Timeline, thank you for the next one. And hi guys, love your content, Alex. Do you feel Disney Plus live action is playing it too safe while animated shows take more risks? Yeah, I think so. I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but I think that if you go down the funnel of Star Wars content, with live action at the top, and like live action movies, live action TV series, probably then animated series and video games, and then books and comics. Like you go down this funnel, the less of an audience there is, I think the bigger the risks they're willing to take. And by that, I just mean, you know, like fewer people read the comics than watch The Bad Batch, and fewer people watch The Bad Batch than watch any of the live action shows, and fewer people watch the live action shows than see the movies. So the more you go down that funnel, the more risks I think they are willing to take with that. Like the comics get really weird, and I appreciate that they take those swings. I mean, I love the Dr. Aphra series because they make some weird ass choices, and they don't always work. But I'm like, hey, you swung for the fences and you did something new. I haven't seen it before. Doesn't mean that I liked it, but you really went for it. And I think that that pays off because, like I said, Dr. Aphra, one of my favorite comic series, because it almost always feels like I'm getting something new for better or worse. So yeah, I think that the animated series allow themselves to be riskier with their content, whatever that means. I think that anything live action, with the budget that it requires, especially for movies, they're gonna go for safer bets. But hopefully that isn't always the case. I mean, looking at what they have down the line, I think anything connected with the Mandoverse is probably a fairly safe bet. But, you know, the Acolyte feels like a risk. So kudos to them. Gregory Jensen, thank you for the next super chat. I loved Obi-Wan's talk with Roken before leaving the ship. What are the chances we get a spin-off series surrounding the path and the rise of the rebellion? I'd love to see more of Roken. You know, I feel like Roken, Reva, and Haja, all three of them felt like they could combine into some like Voltron series about the path. I felt like Obi-Wan inspired Haja a lot. I love that look that Haja gives him when he's like, you know, the word of a liar and a failed Jedi doesn't mean all that much to you. And Obi-Wan like grabs him and he's like, it's good enough for me. And Haja acts surprised and touched by that. Like, I think Haja is kind of a Jedi fanboy, at least in my head, that he wishes he had those powers and he uses the magnets and, you know, he imitates one. He doesn't do good things, but I do think he admires the Jedi. So I think it would be good to see him kind of turn his life around because of Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan also seems like he's inspiring Roken, or at least encouraging him. I don't know that Roken needed as much inspiration, but he's saying, hey, Roken, like, don't stop being a leader. And he says, I'm just getting started. And then, of course, we have Reva coming back, pulling herself away from the brink. I think she would be a great fit for the path as well. So if they wanted to do something like that, I think it would make for some interesting storytelling. I don't know that it's my first choice, but I'm in for it. Molly, say hi. Hi. Could you get me another beer while you're down here? I don't know, something out of the mini fridge. Just something. But yeah, I think that is a good jumping off point. Thank you. Love you. Everyone say hi to Molly. Big Lou's Workshop. Thank you for the next one. Sorry for the crack. I feel that Vader claiming he killed Anakin is an unintended gift to Kenobi to help allow him to move past his guilt and grief. Thoughts? I totally agree. Those are my thoughts. I said something similar in my review, and we said it earlier as well, that I absolutely think Darth Vader was trying to be a badass. He was trying to be like, you didn't create Darth Vader. I created Darth Vader. Meh. And Obi-Wan was like, oh, thank you for saying that. Like, that makes me feel a lot better. I absolutely think it was unintended help. Raz has the next super chat. Thank you. On a rewatch, I thought, was the Jedi in episode 1 going to say, you'll never find Ahsoka? And do you think Leia's pro-Empire uncle sold her out? Oh, that's interesting. For the uncle specifically. I'm trying to find your message here. There it is. I don't think Nari said anything about Ahsoka or was going to. I've seen that episode 4 times, but I haven't watched it in 2 weeks. So I'm trying to remember exactly what Nari said, but I'm assuming that's who you're talking about. But I don't think he said anything about her or was going to. As for Leia's pro-Empire uncle, I don't think he did. I don't think he sold her out. I think that's a funny idea, though. No, I don't think that her pro-Empire uncle is that bad. He's just like a normal crappy uncle. Everyone's got a crappy uncle that has bad opinions that you just need to like walk away and be like, I'm gonna go get a drink, bye. That's who that character was. I hope he wasn't that terrible. D-Train, thank you for the super chat. One of two. Oh, okay, I see. You got a couple here. One of two. Harloff said on his show that Reva should have died at the hands of Vader because revenge can sometimes lead to death, and I couldn't help but agree. I mean, I don't. What? I mean, Vader or vengeance never ever leads anywhere good. But the issue I would have with Reva dying is that we've seen it so many times before. I mean, we just got that story in Fallen Order with Trilla. And, this is coming from someone who watches everything, plays everything, reads everything that they possibly can. So I'm over here like, look, we just did the whole Inquisitor redemption thing in Fallen Order, who immediately died. And I was like, I do not want to see that happen again. But I don't know. That seems like an odd argument that Reva should have died because sometimes vengeance leads to death. I mean, I loved the way they portrayed her quest for vengeance leading absolutely nowhere. They proved how pointless it was, that she joined the Inquisitors. She fought and she planned for 10 years. She did who knows how many horrible things, betrayed everything she knew, and it got her nowhere. I like that. So I like that her quest for vengeance continued when she was like, okay, I can't kill Vader, so I'll kill his son or something. Like, she just still had that rage. Like I said, I do wish that we got another scene with her, just to see where she went after that. But to me, Reva surviving is a breath of fresh air, whereas so many people, Vader and Ben Solo and Trilla, Asajj Ventress, so many dark side characters will make that one good choice finally and then die. And we've seen it enough. So I was very glad that Reva made it. I know you've got some more. Your next one here. Thank you again. One of my favorite video games of all time is Red Dead Redemption 2. The main character repeatedly says revenge is a fool's game. I feel that could have worked here. I think it does work here. I don't think Reva feels good about her quest for vengeance. I don't think it worked at all. And I agree with you. Like, revenge is a fool's game. Absolutely. It doesn't always have to end in death. But I think that they showed that revenge is a fool's game. And I'll quote something else, a completely different piece of media outside of Star Wars that I really liked, that caused a bunch of controversy in the video game world. But The Last of Us 2 is a phenomenal revenge story. It's so good. And it shows you the quest for vengeance from 2 points of view, like both people who want vengeance. And you get to walk a mile in both of their shoes, multiple miles, really. But you get to see this whole story play out from both sides. And then at the end, it's been out for a couple years, so whatever. I'm going to talk about it. If you don't want Last of Us 2 spoilers, mute this for a second. At the end, the two characters you've been playing as are fighting each other to the death. And like, as the player, you don't want that to happen. Like, the player on the outside knows how stupid this is. And in the end, neither of them die. They both walk away. There are consequences, yes, but they both walk away from that conflict. And they just wasted their time, and they wasted their friends' lives, as in multiple of their friends die because of their foolishness. Like, there were still consequences, in my opinion, to what Reva did. And now she has to atone for them. But I don't think that she had to die. And I'm glad she didn't. Ninman01, thank you for this next super chat. If season 2 comes to pass, what stories do you think can or will be told? I don't think they're going to do season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. If they continue the story, all for it. But I think it'll be more of a spin-off offshoot. Again, I know that there are rumors swirling around about this. I don't know what they are. So there might be some like halfway concrete information out there that I just don't know. But I think I'd rather see a spin-off than Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2, because I don't know what to do that's bigger. Not that they necessarily have to go like bigger stakes, but Obi-Wan Kenobi already went out into the galaxy and faced Darth Vader and saved Princess Leia. Like, that's a lot. I feel like they told a great story already, and it feels complete. I don't know that they need season 2. Those are my thoughts. So I would not mind Obi-Wan Kenobi appearing in future Star Wars stories. I just don't know that he needs his own story, his own show. I don't know that he needs to carry it. He can be a featuring player in someone else's. BK11648, thanks for the next super chat. Don't have a question, just want to say thank you for all the amazing Star Wars content every week. Thank you, BK. We try hard. We work really hard, and you know what? Wednesdays are busy and hard, but fun. And this is like the best little celebration to finish a day, is doing these live streams. They're really fun. Kyle Beckworth, thank you for the next one. Hello there. Loved the series and finale. Amazed at voice blend of Hayden and James Earl Jones. Thanks for the great content. May the force be with you. I loved that too. It's funny. It's like the exact same thing as what happens in Star Wars Rebels. They cut the mask and then Matt Lanter's voice mixed with James Earl Jones's. But I'm glad they did it again. I'm glad they did a repeat, because not everyone saw Star Wars Rebels, and definitely no one ever saw it in live action. So let's do it again. Let's give that moment to everyone. And I thought it was very effective and insanely creepy. And our next super chat here is from Gareth Reese Pryor. Thank you, Gareth. Perfect finale. Jumped out of my seat and clapped when Qui-Gon appeared. I almost said GQ. It's flipped. Cried when Obi sadly called Annie Darth. Made a New Hope, Master of Evil line make sense. The Qui-Gon thing was something I was just like so relieved that they got in right at the end. And I like that we haven't talked about the Darth moment at all. I mean, I liked that it was just this kind of, in my mind, sort of sarcastic, just like, okay, Darth. Like, you know, in A New Hope, that was just his name. That was his first name. But now it's a title. And so to let Obi-Wan Kenobi sarcastically call him Darth instead of Anakin. He didn't say it with that much venom that I just gave it, but it was still a good moment that I liked. Ice, thank you for the next super chat. Very generous super chat. Thank you. This finale was perfect. Loved the duel. I couldn't believe when they cut Vader's helmet like in Rebels. So much of this episode had me sobbing. Great to see Owen and especially Beru get some spotlight. A perfect ending. Yeah, I don't know. I can't decide if I was surprised or not when they cut the helmet. I think I said like, oh, they're going to do the thing. They're going to do that thing again, but not in a disappointed way. Just like a right on. Like, I'm very much a proponent of all of Star Wars fandom, as much as Star Wars fandom getting to experience these same moments, you know, because I know not everyone plays Fallen Order. So is there a lot of similarities in Part 4 and Fallen Order? Yeah, whatever. But if people had never seen Fortress Inquisitorius before, they deserve to see it. Same thing goes with that Star Wars Rebels moment. I think it might have been more effective for me if I had never seen it in Star Wars Rebels before. But oh well, like, that's all right. For all the people that it worked perfectly for, it was worth it. Mr. Shu, thank you for the next super chat. I'm just glad Reva survived the series. She's one of my favorite new characters. I'm really happy to see like a lot of praise for Reva as the series continued on and ended. Like, you know, like I said, I don't think I fully understood the character when she first appeared. But as the series went on, I understood more and more. And yeah, now I'm on board. Give me more. Show me what she did. Like I said, for a while now, I've wanted to see what atonement in Star Wars looks like. Reva is primed to do that. Let's see a Star Wars character atone for the things they have done. Kyler Ruiz, thank you for the next super chat. What if Obi at the end of the fight told Anakin about what happened to Padme, what she told Obi-Wan and or the children since he defeated him on Mustafar? Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered. We're kind of seeing that play out in the Darth Vader comics right now. And, you know, that's interesting. I wonder if Anakin would have believed Obi-Wan. In the comics, Darth Vader sees it for himself. He sees a holographic recording. Yeah, he does. Just had one of those like, does he? Yeah, he does. He sees Padme say that she believes there's still good in him. And even then, I'm not sure that fully affects him. To have Obi-Wan tell him that, I don't know that he would have believed him. Like, Anakin just seems like he is so disconnected from himself and so unwilling to move back in that direction. I guess move backwards is how he would think of it. Yeah, I just don't know that it would have mattered to him. Ken Plume, thank you. Thank you for another super chat. I'm going to need season 2 adventures of Obi-Wan and Akmina. Hey, now there's a show. They're going to like completely shift gears and they're just going to do finally Cheers in Star Wars. I mean, they have had half the cast in Star Wars already. You got your John Ratzenberger. You got Rita Perlman. Is that who voices Sid in The Bad Batch? Who else? There have been Woody Harrelson. There have been a lot of Cheers actors in Star Wars already. So like, let's just keep that going. Obi-Wan can go and hang out at the Mos Eisley Cantina, and they'll just do Cheers in space. Finally. Ice, thank you for another super chat. I thought Reva was really well handled. I was unsure on her redemption, but I really liked it in the end. That scene with Obi-Wan was so well done. Totally agree. And again, this is one of those things where being in this space is kind of frustrating sometimes. Like, people will just send you what they think is going to happen, or they'll send straight up leaks. And I said something to the effect last week of, I don't want Reva to find out who Luke is. Like, that just in my mind wasn't going to sit well with me. And I saw someone in the chat say like, that's exactly what happens. And I'm like, I feel like you know this because of leaks, and I'm annoyed that you put that in the chat. But it was kind of in the back of my head. And then watching the episode and watching it play out, I was like, I get it. Like, the execution on paper was better than, just having someone tell you that. And that's why one of the reasons I don't like leaks. Like, first of all, I want to be surprised by the story. Second of all, a lot of times reading what's going to happen just in like some weird summary is so different from actually watching it play out and watching the director's intent. It's different. So I'm glad that I watched it and I was like, this is sitting a lot better with me than I thought it would. Whoop. But Ice has another super chat here. Thank you, Ice, so much. I know she had just returned Luke, but I did not trust her until she dropped that lightsaber. I think that's fair. I was worried she was going to take a swing at Obi-Wan and force him to strike her down in self-defense. Yeah, I think I did trust her. But even Obi-Wan, I feel like, reacts a little when she pulls her lightsaber out just to throw it in the ground. She kind of pulls it out, and Obi-Wan gets ready. But yeah, I feel like I was on board with her just being like, no, I'm done with this. I'm tired, and I can't do it anymore. But I was worried. I said this earlier, that I did not want her to be like, my quest for vengeance is over, and then just like die, because she was stabbed. And I do feel like they set up the idea that vengeance is what's keeping her alive. Although people did point out last week there was a back to tank in Jabim. So she may have hopped in the tank. We don't know. She did seem to get to Tatooine awfully fast. But who knows? Raquel Perez, thank you for the next super chat. Very generous of you. Love both your shows. I'll pass that on to Ken and Joseph. Do you think Obi-Wan would have left him alive if there wasn't the original trilogy? I think Joseph answered this well. And and it's a question that I had too, not like questioning it so much because it makes no sense, but does Obi-Wan feel any guilt, any responsibility for leaving Vader alive? And I liked Joseph Andkin's answers about this, that, it's not really about that. First of all, none of this is real. Like, this is a mythology. And we are supposed to ask these questions, but we're supposed to ask them in the larger, more metaphorical sense. And like, what does it mean for us as people? Not so much like, what does this mean for the real history of Star Wars? Because that's not real. That doesn't exist. Like, it's fun to look at and play with, but it's more important that we ask the questions about ourselves. So, yeah, I don't think Obi-Wan would have left him alive if it weren't for the original trilogy. Maybe those talks came up, but I don't think so. Like Joseph said, the big thing that was really bugging Obi-Wan this season, once he found out that Anakin was still alive, it was like, can he undo that? And it doesn't mean that he can save Vader, but he can leave the door open for someone else to. And I think that's what Obi-Wan thought. D-Train, thanks for the next super chat. We're going off topic here. What did you think of Top Gun Maverick? Can't wait for Rogue Squadron. I'd like to see Joseph Kosinski direct it and Glenn Powell star in it. I do like Glenn Powell. He plays like such a good jerk, but the jerk that comes around. And that's his character archetype from the beginning. You're like, okay, you're the guy I'm going to love to hate and then eventually love. Got it. But yeah, Top Gun Maverick was awesome. I think I was mostly impressed by the filmmaking. And I mean, I have a friend who works in camera departments and films movies and works on Marvel TV shows and stuff. And he was telling me about how they achieved some of those shots, and it's pretty awesome. And you can tell, like, there's cameras in cockpits of actual fighter jets, and you can see the pilots or the actors getting knocked around and dealing with actual G-forces. And that's awesome. Like, it makes it more real, you can tell. But also, I tweeted this, it's a great Star Wars movie about overcoming your fears and confronting your past and becoming who you're meant to be, trusting in yourself. Not to mention all of the surface level stuff where it's like the main mission is a trench run with a 3-meter wide target. Like, come on. It's so Star Wars. But I didn't mean that. Like, I didn't take that as something like, oh, well, screw this movie then. I was like, no, this is a fun movie to watch. I really, really liked Top Gun. Next up, another one from Ice. Thank you. I'm a little unsure how to feel about Reva knowing about Luke I'm a little unsure to feel about Reva knowing about Luke and is now out there when I've thought no one can know. I'll get over it. That's more of a personal thing for me to puzzle out. I'm with you. I am totally with you. I had that same thought where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this, but Ken and Joseph said it and said it well. That this is the story of Star Wars, really, is you're told one thing in one movie, and then in The Empire Strikes Back, that changes. And in Return of the Jedi, that changes. And the story is always evolving. And I think that people like me can get upset and annoyed with that because we like knowing what's going on. I do. I like knowing all the details. And then when all of a sudden I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's not what I thought I knew. You just have to adjust. And that's it. Like, it's not a big deal. I'm getting, I don't even know. I don't think I want to say that I'm getting used to it because I had those same thoughts today. So I don't know that I'm getting used to it, but it is just part of being a Star Wars fan. And yeah, like you say, you'll get over it. It's more of a personal thing to puzzle out. A lot of people don't care at all. Some people care too much. I like to think that I'm somewhere in the middle where I'm like, I do care about the canon, but I'm willing to adjust to new information, even if it takes me a day. Game Station 3, thank you for the next super chat. Has the Obi-Wan once thought as you do line really been paid off? So I asked this exact question to Joseph because I felt like it was broached in the episode, but it wasn't fully like, not in the way that I thought it was going to be, I guess. And Joseph pointed out that, Luke and Vader are talking about the name Anakin in that scene in Return of the Jedi. And that I need to rewatch the scene, frankly, but in my mind, that does make sense, that recontextualizes how they're talking. And that when Luke says, I can't even remember exactly what Luke says. Quotes are not my strength. But Luke says something along the lines of, I know that you were once my father, Anakin Skywalker. And he says that name no longer means anything to me. And then, I don't know, Luke is like, he thinks they're still good in him. And then Obi-Wan once thought as you do. I think in my mind, Vader is thinking about that moment of, Obi-Wan once thought that Anakin was still in here and he was wrong. Even though Vader is wrong in that moment. And obviously we know Anakin comes back, but recontextualizing that into talking about the name Anakin, I'm like, okay, I do think that makes sense. And I do think that they did it. And even before Joseph said that, I was like, I do think that Obi-Wan apologizing to Anakin for everything and just saying he was sorry, I think that was an olive branch, and extending something to Anakin for him to take and accept the apology, say he was sorry too, anything. But Anakin didn't do any of that. So in my mind, I was already like, they did broach the topic, even if it wasn't as obviously as I thought that they would. Ice, thank you for another super chat. Did you see that when Obi-Wan strikes Vader, the wound matches up with the big scar he has on his head in Return of the Jedi that isn't present previously? I did notice that. And yeah, that's a good moment, because I was, again, I was one of those people when we first saw him in the back to tank in parts 2 and 3 and then 4. Where's his head wound? Like, oh, okay. Should have just waited. There it is. We got there. D-Train, thank you for another super chat. How come Luke never got his revenge on those stormtroopers that killed his aunt and uncle? After watching this show, I'd like to think they went out blasting. Well, A, revenge is not the Jedi way. B, I don't know that Luke knew where they were, even if he wanted revenge. Like, I don't know how you would track those people down, those specific stormtroopers. But yeah, after watching the show, I think I saw someone on Reddit talk about how it's hard to believe what happened to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru after seeing all their John Wick stuff in this episode. I'm like, yeah, I like to think that they went down swinging, and that they took out some of those stormtroopers before being incinerated or whatever happened to them. James Waterman, thank you for the next super chat. We know how Kenobi got to a point where he was comfortable enough to stop watching Luke to learn why Mos Eisley was known as a hive of scum and villainy, aka grab drinks at the best party spot on Tatooine. Yeah, I like that. Again, this ties into our Cheers spinoff that's definitely coming. Just Kenobi sitting around grabbing drinks with all of the best drinkers in Mos Eisley, and that's. We cut away before he finished the sentence where he's like, you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. And I would know. I'm one of them. Then he goes and he parties. And he and Dr. Evazan have probably been button heads for years. He was just waiting for an excuse to cut off Ponda Baba's arm. J.L. Wireman, thank you for the very generous super chat. What would you want to see if they did a season 2? I'd like to see a Ben and Ahsoka story. Yeah, like I said, I don't think they're going to do Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2. I think they're going to do another series, another story that Obi-Wan can fit into if needed. I think having him pop up in cameo appearances would be great. As we finished his story today, I'm like, I don't know that I need to see much more. Like, I thought he had a really great arc. I'm good. I'm good with Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff. I can explore some other characters, but, you know, like I said, that's just how I've been leaning lately. Matt Billington, thank you for your super chat. Thanks for making my Star Wars experience all the more better. Interested to know, what is yours and Molly's favorite Star Wars canon and legend novel? Well, if Molly wants to text me or put in chat, maybe she already did, because this was 30 minutes ago that you asked this question. She may have already done that. Right now, I feel like I've got a bunch of ties for my top canon novel. So I'm going to cheat and name like 5. I'm going to go Light of the Jedi, Alphabet Squadron, Lost Stars, Thrawn, and The Rising Storm, and Midnight Horizon. So there's 6. For Legends, again, cheating hard. Because I feel like you got to combine the original Thrawn trilogy. I also like to combine the Darth Bane trilogy, although I think the first book, Path of Destruction, I think that's the best one. All of the X-Wing books, so there, I just combined another 11, but Rogue Squadron is my favorite one of those that bunch. Darth Plagueis, and I think I'll stop there. I kind of want to throw iJedi in as well, just because of our Corran Horn Renaissance, but I named 11 X-Wing books, so so that was bad. I gave you like 20 novels instead of the 2 that you asked for, but I don't know. It's tough. I like too many of the books. J.L. Wireman has got the next one, if I can find it. But thank you. Oh, excuse me. Vex431 has the next one. I wish we had more time with Qui-Gon. If Tales of the Jedi were to expand its scope timeline-wise, it would be the perfect medium to show Obi-Wan, learn from him, and also discuss Anakin and Luke. I'm split on this right now. I mostly disagree, only because I really do like the way that they used him to just book into the series, where at the start, Obi-Wan is reaching out to his master and he's not getting anything in response. I like the way that they just, hey, Hilo, stop. Hilo's like right off camera licking his butt. Please no. I like the way that they used Qui-Gon as a symbol just to show that Obi-Wan achieved balance. Obi-Wan became who he was meant to be, and now we can see proof of it. And it's also just a nice moment between Master and Apprentice that also mirrors a bad moment between Darth Vader and Sidious. So I thought that they got a lot out of that one scene in a couple of lines. Do I wish we had had more from Qui-Gon? Yes. But I think they used him really, really effectively. J.L. Wireman, thank you for, there we go. Another very generous super chat. Y'all are my favorite Star Wars channel, or y'all are my favorite channel. Thank you. Thanks so much for making such an awesome place to chat about Star Wars. Thank you, JL. Well, we try to. We want to make everyone feel welcome here, no matter what they like, dislike, just as long as you express yourself in a respectful way, you are welcome. Vic, thank you for the next super chat. Hi, Alex. I thought Qui-Gon was going to give Ben a message when he was under the Rebel to help him, but I'm glad he came out at the end. I will say, I really did like Molly's idea that Qui-Gon would appear when Obi-Wan did. I mean, that would have been kind of the moment for it. That Obi-Wan and Vader would be separated, and Obi-Wan would find that moment to center himself the way that Qui-Gon did in The Phantom Menace. So I was kind of curious if he would pop out at that point. But I'm glad he made it into the show at all. Al, thank you for the next super chat. Just finished the ep and cried twice. Growing up with the prequels, it meant a lot to see them directly acknowledge them so profoundly in live action. For sure. I love how much this series felt like a bridge, which I think they meant. I mean, you know, it's almost smack dab in the middle of episodes 3 and 4. 9.5 years would be the midpoint, and they were at 10. And we're getting to see prequel Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker as Obi-Wan specifically, you know, meets Leia and meets Luke for the first time, we found out. And he's protecting the next generation. It's like a passing of the torch, a looking at a future, the new hopes. Yeah. And not to mention the kick-ass edit that they made of all 3 prequels to kick off this series. It was so good. Mace Harris, thank you for another super chat. I think the real world implications of Mose Ingram's character Reva should be considered here. How many Black or people of color Force users are in Star Wars? Yeah, not many. I mean, Mace Windu is the only other like major on-screen prominent one. There have been quite a few in the books and publishing comics and all that, but you know, on screen, this is huge, and it should be treated as such. And yet another reason why, like, it is nice to see her come back, be redeemed, have a chance for atonement. That was my biggest. Ever since Ben Solo, that's been like my big worry, is that we're gonna get another, like, I made a good choice and then die. And I'm so glad they did not do that with her. And if you haven't checked out Moses Ingram's stories on Instagram, do that before they disappear, because they're very funny. She's just like dancing around. I don't know, Molly showed him to me, but she's dancing around being like, I lived. She's obviously very excited and happy about it. So hopefully we see more from the character. But yeah, we fully believe that representation matters here. You know, I'm a white guy. I've seen myself in Star Wars plenty of times, and it's not something that I'm ever fully going to understand, the feeling of not seeing yourself. But everyone should be able to see themselves in Star Wars. So we're fully on board with that, and I hope we see her again. Brian Ferreira, thank you for the next super chat. Hope your AC is fixed. It's not. Read any Star Wars musicals lately? I haven't yet. Young Biggs in season 2. Brian sent me a Star Wars musical that I have not had time to open up and look yet. But like a Star Wars version of Hamilton, and I love Hamilton, so I'll get there, I promise. But our AC, I think, is set to be fixed next Wednesday, so we have one more week of this, but we'll hopefully soldier on. I want to get back to the Lego streams, but it does get hot in my office, so we'll see how that goes. We Slow, thank you for the next super chat. Can't donate much, but all of you enrich my life. We Slow, that's so nice of you, and don't ever feel like you have to donate anything. That's very nice of you to say. We really, really appreciate it. Game Station 3, thanks for the next super chat. How did Reva get to Tatooine so quickly? That's a good question, but it's just one of those things. It could be that the story was told slightly out of order, just for the sake of storytelling, so that we, the audience, knew, okay, Reva's on Tatooine, she's going after Luke. It doesn't necessarily mean that she was there before Obi-Wan and Vader dueled. Like, we don't know how long they were being chased by the Star Destroyer. We don't know how long Reva was there. Maybe she hopped in the back to tank before she left. That's just, it's the same kind of storytelling that I just set aside because of The Empire Strikes Back. How long did Luke train with Yoda? It didn't seem like that long. And then, books and stuff after the fact will say that Dagobah exists in this weird time flux thing where you can be on Dagobah for like a day, but actually it feels like months or whatever. And like, that's all just hand wavy, whatever BS. But that's the story. They just did what they had to do to tell a story. And Star Wars doesn't always make logical sense. And that's just the truth. Jazzertron 5000, thank you for the next super chat. Did the battle give you earthbending vibes? Are you guys looking forward to the new live-action Avatar series since the original creators didn't feel comfortable with it? Nice segue. Paul Sun-Hyung Lee is in it. Yeah, he is. And honestly, yeah. Love Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. Everything Avatar I've seen, like, to me, the Avatar universe is another Star Wars for me. Like, I still need to read the comics and the books. I have several of the books and I just haven't had time to read them, but I just like the universe and I want to give it all a shot. Like it or love it or hate it or whatever. Like, I'm willing to give a book a read, a comic a read, a show a chance. That's how I feel with Star Wars, that even if something doesn't fully 100% connect with me, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna enjoy myself at least a little bit. Like, the worst Star Wars thing I've ever seen, I'm still going to find some joy out of it. And that's how I feel about Avatar as well. Obviously jury's out on the live action show, but Paul Sun-Hyung Lee is a treasure and I will support him. And I did not get the next question queued up. There we go. Ice, thank you for another super chat. I did not expect to see Beru packing heat, but I loved it. She heard Luke was in danger and went straight for the piece she was ready to throw down. I loved Beru in this episode. She was fantastic. She lined up so well with the way she was presented in Queen's Hope. I really enjoyed all of that. And just the idea that I looked at her and I was like, yeah, that's the kind of woman that's going to help stop the slave trade on Tatooine. Ryu Reaper, thank you for the next super chat. Vader, Kenobi, Reva, and Raukin should appear in Jedi Fallen Order 2. I don't... Oh, Rokin. Yeah, I'm down. Like, it all lines up. I don't think I want Vader in Fallen Order 2 or Survivor, just because we already saw him. And I like the way they treated him. I like the idea that it was just like, run away. That's it, run away. So I don't know that we need to do that yet again. But Rokin would be cool. Quinlan Voss, Kenobi, I would buy that now. Reva, yeah. I would be okay with all of those other characters. And to keep talking about Beru, Ice, thank you for yet another super chat. And the whose fault is that line? Damn that burn. Yeah, really good. I really liked that line, just that she's not on board with the way that Owen treats Obi-Wan. Miranda here, thank you for the next super chat. Didn't Obi-Wan have to assemble Qui-Gon? Assemble him? Oh, okay. How did Qui-Gon show up fully when he couldn't previously in the Clone Wars for Yoda? Don't get me wrong, this was the missing piece from Episode 3. Okay, I see what your question is. No, Obi-Wan did not have to assemble Qui-Gon. Basically, this was all set up in a short story, Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray, and from a certain point of view, I do suspect that that story was written with some knowledge of this series / movie at the time in mind. Because it basically says that, you know, Qui-Gon's one with the Force, but he still has his consciousness. He can still learn. And so he just continued learning while he was one with the Force. He died. When he died, he could only become a voice for a while, and he was fine with that. But then he specifically started to learn again after Anakin's fall so that he could assist Obi-Wan. And that's basically it. That, you know, once you're dead, if you can become one with the Force to any degree, like, why would that stop you from learning? And that's what happened with Qui-Gon. My voice is going, but we have a few more questions here. Another one from Brian. Thank you, Brian. Thanks, Alex. Sorry to put you on the spot about the Hamilton question. No problem. Here's another contribution to the AC repair bill. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, we got that quoted today, and it sucked. But whatever. We have an old system. It needs to be replaced. And so we're going to replace it. Eric Cook, thank you for the next super chat. Season 2 explores Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's relationship and is centered around the nascent rebellion. Mon Mothma is aware of Obi-Wan in Rogue One. I certainly think that's possible. It's not necessary, but, like, you know, what in Star Wars is. I think it would be interesting to tie that into Andor and what's happening there. But I don't know. I'm not, like, looking to overly connect all of these series. In fact, I really like that Obi-Wan felt so distinct from the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. And I think Andor is going to feel distinct from both of these series. So yeah, I'm okay with them continuing to keep things separated. And Jane Dalton here with the last super chat. Thank you so much, Jane. I hope this hasn't been asked, but do you think Obi-Wan or Bail have the ability to contact Yoda? I thought it was weird in universe that no one contacted him to help save Leia. I don't know. I'm going to guess no. I kind of think no. Like, I don't know that Yoda wants to be contacted. He seemed real adamant on the whole exile thing. And if they could have contacted, I feel like Obi-Wan would have been like, why don't you call Master Yoda instead of me back in part 1? And Bail's like, nope, you're the only option. You're the only one I can talk to that knows how important she is. So I know that, like, Obi-Wan and Yoda have communed through the Force, but who knows? I think right now I'm going to assume that there is no way they could have contacted them. Ken Plume, thanks for another super chat. I think you should sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Or in a little bit. And Ice, thank you for one more super chat. Great to see Sidious and Qui-Gon, and his entrance was perfect. Took you long enough. That took me out. I was laughing so hard at that. Yeah, I loved that too. I loved everything about Qui-Gon in this. I could have done with more of him, but, you know, having seen it, I'm like, this was perfect. I just love that they used him for just like this symbol of Obi-Wan achieving his goals and achieving balance. And I love that Liam Neeson came back for just that one little scene, a couple of lines. I'm glad he was willing to do that. He seems like he's always down, despite all of his terrible lies, saying I don't do TV or this or that. And it's like, you voiced him in the Clone Wars. Like, come on, you thought we all forgot? But yeah, I loved Qui-Gon. So that's it. We are going to wrap up this week's stream. I'm going to give my voice a rest. And then tomorrow I'm going to talk about more Obi-Wan Kenobi. What's this show called? Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because I got more to say. I'm going to do... So tomorrow we got our Easter eggs video coming out. Friday will be just like a review, a look back at the entire season. Saturday we got a Q&A all about Obi-Wan. And I got more videos planned after that. So we still got quite a bit of Obi-Wan Kenobi talk to do. Remember to please go check out ForceCenter podcast if you never have. They are some of the best people in the Star Wars space. I love listening to their content. They're so smart. And if you missed them, they were here for the first 2 hours. They're awesome. Go listen to what they had to say if you missed them earlier. But it is time for me to crash. So thank you all for hanging out and watching, sending in your super chats. It means the world to us having your support here. And may the Force be with you.